Oh, intros. I didn't practice this one. So, welcome to Last of the Summer Elves Part 1. Sure, that'll do. The 5th of October 2024. I'm Viktor, the GM. We're the players.
Hi, I am Sean, and I'm playing Falkwin, who is the mystical speaker who keeps a magical ally.
Hi, I'm Kalli. I play Ignysera, the Draconic warrior, who is a bit of a mystery at the moment.
Good evening, my name is Alexander. Tonight I'm playing Lockheart Dourf, who's an Empathic speaker. Exactly the sort of person you want interpreting.
Hello, I'm Hannah, and I'm playing Myr'ra Pentergast, a Helborn Adept who sheds her skin.
Nori is not with us tonight. Hopefully we'll be next session. We reconvene in 2 weeks' time. Anyone that's following the story, Riven and their wife Hedera taken a vacation. Incommunicado. Yeah, all the love to Riven. Right. So, big question time now. What is remember from last time?
Fuck.
I
More
would
than that.
like to read from my notes, which say, scan, can't tell the level of the floor.
Yep. I recall
You
that.
you took a trip underground with a wizard at some point, right?
Mm-hmm. Well, we started. All sorts of things happened. We were attacked. The whole city was attacked by Farron after the swords to open the soul well were used, and we brought a bunch of people back to life. And by we, I mean Pride.
Yes.
Pride did most of that. But a bunch of dead people are alive again, so yay!
Pride also did imply that it needed to be someone that can wield celestial magic that did it, which in theory does loop in Falkwin.
So true, so true.
What were you doing?
And that's not to say that Falkwin is currently capable of doing what Pride managed to do. It's just that you have at least the starting block tools that say,
Mm-hmm.
you know, a Draconic caster or a demonic caster doesn't have. Because you're a celestial caster.
Indeed. My shouting and yelling is God flavoured. Someone was very unimpressed by our attempt to raise the dead, right? Was that Modesta Lara? Or was it?
Yes,
yeah.
Modesta Lara was not impressed with us.
Okay. Modesta Lara is the gold leaf queen of the elves.
She's... I don't like her.
I will say though, for Kalli's benefit, this is a wee bit like Crumbars not liking Magna.
Vibes were off.
Vibes are off.
Instant dislike.
Just not. Yeah. Not friends.
We sort of fought our way through quite a lot of Farron. Did we leave and come back in the same episode? Did we go? We had to go and get Samda.
So
with Pride,
what happened was had let Pride out of the vault, and then there was a bit of a deal about who can say what to who about what. Pride wanted to mostly cover up but fix a lot of the shenanigans they'd been up to during the last 2 years, and they sweetened the deal by saying, well, we'll throw in both souls, but we have to rename Pridefall. So yes, there was definitely a lot of negotiating back tension and changing of heights.
Yeah, that was
yes.
Yeah. So, that scene where we were negotiating with Pride was
stressful.
Yeah.
Yeah. We walked up and down the stairs a lot as well.
Got your steps
the
in.
Thing I remember.
Oh god, the amount of steps she's got in. Yeah. And yes, you had to go away from the vault of the five, which housed the soul well, because Pride was like, well, if I put the sword in here, it alerts all the other wielders, and thus, you know, better get 2 others to agree to open it. So you had to loop in some people, and then you looped in Quilburn, the King of the Dragons, and you looped in Margot Skygazer, the Queen of Dwarves, who was not the most
Great.
for this. She seemed the most suspicious. Quilburn was like, "Oh, I've not been in here." So yeah, I had a brief encounter upstairs with some kind of shadowy figure. At least Nori did. That led to scanning the floors to see why he just seemed to fall into the floor. He's then looped in Snowstorm and Modesta Lara. Snowstorm being a Silverthorn elf that seems to be like kind of right hand to the King Lundorantuil. Then some Farron attacked and Modesta Lara hand waved them away. Again with pretty top. I think Falkwin recognised it was like top tier celestial magic, translated as something like the Hand of God. She wasn't taking no prisoners. Yeah, just.
She then told us if we saw the man from the blade room again, we should run. We should not go near him. He's very, very, very dangerous.
She also released 2 souls
and
for you
we,
guys.
Yes,
handed over
crushed
some soul
the soul gems. Oh yeah, I'd forgotten about them. We then went to try and help, and saw our friend from the blade room again, sort of just pulling all the Farron, all of them, just pulling them back towards like a town circle.
Yeah, it was like they call it a town square, but it was a circle. Yep, and it was like the big ethereal smoke-like chains that seemed to have like been wrapped around all books, and they didn't seem that eager to be pulled by them, but seemed quite effortlessly just walking, and they were getting pulled behind them. Yeah, and like pulled into the circle as if falling through it. Like, yeah, just totally normal things, you know. Seemed to take like several thousand away with them.
Yeah,
clearing the city, but it looks like which was good.
And then Viktor laid a very, very clever trap and said, "Would you like to scan this floor?" Which I did.
I mean,
and
you
I
say
got
clever trap, and I say offer.
Casual offer.
Yeah, just a casual that you know I'm going to fall for.
Yeah.
Push the button.
Yeah. And I got teleported, we think, to the big scary island of where the wizard that everyone's scared of lives.
Yes.
Manimarco.
No, Malmanis of the Black Spire.
No, that one. Yeah. I always got this wrong before as well. Manimarco's the Elder Scrolls one. Damn it.
Yeah. Visually, though, I think I probably described it being very similar.
I got to have a nice chat with him, which I think just through being herself, Myr'ra managed not to be murdered. And then got to find out that he's what's his name? I've got it written down. Let me find it.
Okay.
Because he was always my question to ask about. Bran and Elle, the first blade.
So for Kalli's benefit there, I'll step in. So the party had asked Sloth, one of the other 7 devils, played by Billy Connolly, of course, when and legal authority to use that. The stories Sloth was recounting from his time at the Fey War, very melancholy as they were, did bring up the fact that Bran and Elle is the first blade. So the Elves, the Ironwood Elves, did not have a sword. It was their king who was considered the first blade. And obviously, to everyone's beliefs, all of the Ironwoods are gone because of the Fey.
Which we now know more about.
Yes.
Basically, bad things. From what I remember, The devils are definitely involved. And there was some kind of deal made that then resulted in all of the Ironroot elves are now the Farron.
Yeah.
Which is why he was pulling them back, because he wants to try and help them, which I think I volunteered us to help with.
Yeah, you definitely
And
did.
it was
Yeah.
and it was heavily implied as well that the soul well was something that was somehow used in order to win the war. Either by like reviving people after they died somehow. Like it seemed like it's maybe useful somehow for sidestepping the phase. Timey-wimey, no, this wasn't it, it was that. We rewrite the truth of the world magic.
I think we also got that there's some sort of like timey-wimey stuff going on in that, like, Branonel was just like knocked out until like fairly recently when the Fey War happened.
900 years ago.
900 years ago. So whatever happened that he survived knocked him like out of commission for nearly a millennium.
Yeah.
I'm reminded, if any of you have ever watched Bleach, without giving away spoilers, there's a character who something happened and then he had to sleep for 900 years, and then after 900 years he was allowed to take his first breath. Then after 90 years something, and then after 9 years something, and then in the final year that's when he would rise again.
It's like a really dodgy snooze button, Scott, right?
Yeah.
100 year nap,
Yeah.
cool, snooze button, 90 years will do, that's fine, I'll wake up then. Nah, 9, please.
Yeah.
I've watched a lot of Bleach, I don't remember any of that. That must be in the stuff after I stopped.
Yes, that's 1000-Year Blood War.
No, I've not seen any of that. So yeah. Good to know I'm still infringing on other franchises though. Woohoo! So many references to things I've not actually quite got to, yet all in franchises I'm aware of. Oh, I should have wrote for all of those. Yes. Anything else that we recall? How much does Alexander remember? Because I know you didn't make our last session.
Yeah, it was sort of the last 2 sessions I missed. So my last time I was actually here was when we opened up to let Pride out of the box.
So some things happened since then.
So there's been a few things happening since
We made no deals in your name, we promise.
Sadly, you did agree to make deals with Pride in your absence because you did know about Pride.
Yeah. No, that does, yeah, that is interesting. There's some bits that I'd caught up. Some of that was more.
You know, we spoke about it a lot because we did a bit of a catch up, but I think
Yeah.
you'd wanted to leave the last one, to kind of peruse yourself. But yes, that was the main highlights, at least from Hannah. And I think if there's anything else like major in the end,
The Sun and Moon Emperor and Empress.
Yeah, I was going to ask earlier, are
the
they
attack.
still there? No.
I got nothing from them when I checked their status.
No, you did not. So
creepy
yeah.
people.
So it's been roughly 2 weeks since that all happened, okay, in terms of the present timeline. The things that have been discovered during the course of that 2 weeks was mostly the damage the Farron did to the city, and the fact that it seems to have been relatively contained because it seems like Branonel turned up fairly quickly. But you can probably guess why Branonel got there so quickly. Do you want to hazard a guess at why they appeared so suddenly?
We used the soul well.
Correct.
And they are a blade.
Correct. So they were immediately warned. that someone was trying to open the vault. So yes, the Ironroot King turned up, chained a bunch of Farron, pulled them through, the kind of onyx black style material that the entire of Cascade City is made out of, and then, absconded with one of our players. There is some more info I'd like to kind of expound on about that conversation, Hannah, so we'll do a small flashback to that in a moment. Just because I know we rushed through it to make sure we got everything in that session. So it was a and there was no last one. As we said, Riven and Hedera taking some much needed time off just to step away from things. A lot of that was Hedera telling Riven that had to happen because Riven wanted to stay and fix everything and then go on a hunt because it's Riven. But no, they were told by their wife. So they said their goodbyes and said, obviously we've got the rings if anything, emergency wise or whatever, we can make sure we can stay in contact. And Hedera just looked at the party as if, don't you dare message us. So yeah, there was that. As they wander off, as I mentioned before, KT and Zaretha not in the city. Attack happened after they'd escorted the party back after the initial Farron attack on Hedera's convoy coming from Boros, that they seem to have left the city for where they were going. So they missed the excitement there. Probably for the best. And what else? The Rakishan Emperor and Empress, Solar Emperor and Lunar Empress, Sun and who had turned up to welcome the new queen, even though the journey across between the continents would have been longer than how long she'd been queen for. So that's a bit of a mystery why they sailed across the hat. They nowhere to be found other than the ship left port. So whether they got back on board or not, there was obviously a lot of chaos. So it's hard to say.
Right, the expansions.
The super secret DLC expansion zone. But yes, so even the High Speaker, Lexica Cridge, was like essentially the head of the Whitehall, which is the Church of Light's kind of capital building. Lexica Cridge, who was kind of charged by looking after as many people as possible during that attack, basically acted as a bit of a sanctuary in the centre of the city, didn't have time to babysit them while planning like the Amber Lances were like off going through the city to like make sure we're all getting injured by the Farron survive. So she lost track of them. Quite frankly, her when she was asked about it, she was like, well, good riddance, I think was her thoughts on that, because they kept interrupting people at the table. As arbiter of the table, she was like, excuse me. So yes, no time for rude cats. So there's an argument that they got back on their boat and sailed back home. And why wouldn't they, given the chaos that was going on? So yes. As for the gemstones, guys all obviously were hoping for some more information on. There has been a note passed to, I can't remember who put their name down as the point of contact. It was either Myr'ra or Falkwin or both. But either way, the party got like essentially an invite saying, oh, there has been some developments. Not much, but it's something if you want to stop by the Arcanatrix, whatever, it's convenient, can do. But effectively, that's something that there is some information, like a development at least. Other things that happened, Myr'ra, your grandmother does not want you to travel by placing yourself in danger, so arrangements will be made in time. And basically stand by, ultimately. Because she wants you physically in Caldera. Yeah. To travel that on foot is anywhere between, like a month or two, or never, because you'll have been killed by something on. So, very dangerous to travel on foot through Caldera, the Devil country. So, yeah. and yous have teleported a lot recently, so it's probably best you don't teleport for a bit. The 2 weeks cooldown has probably been useful though, because it would let the kind of residual magical radiation energy like dissipate somewhat, so long as in your 2 weeks you haven't just decided to go teleporting a whole bunch. Because yeah, Kalli, in this setting, teleporting is generally considered like a secondary transport option, not a primary one, because it's like getting a massive dose of radiation. So, not ideal. But yes, so that is those parts. I think what else. Loudon and Vermi have addressed the Grand Council as well within those 2 weeks. So they have basically given a good enough story to the Grand Council. Obviously fabricated to heavens, given that, 2 years isn't accounted for. And that's not something that Loudon particularly wants out there, because it's quite embarrassing for the crown. Or the fact that she was dead for 2 years. Yeah, not great. So, Grand Council, as far as they're concerned, is just like, okay, so Loudon's mystery daughter has turned up and is now queen because the swords picked her. Good enough. Human affairs. Do you know what I mean? And Joy was very quick to be like, that seems fine. Council meetings, because
Well done, Joy.
yeah, why would she need any further investigation into that to happen?
I need Joy to have a big ink stamp, like you'd get in primary school. You'd stamp your hand, like smiley face, like you did a good job today.
Yeah.
I need Joy to just have one of these stamps for all occasions.
She in fact invented stickers specifically just so she could give people smiley face stickers. Yeah. I don't know if any of you watched the clip or not, but she was on QI, so I popped the clip in because it just Sally Phillips's vibes are so good. So yeah, just her kind of like cackling a bit, and I'm like, oh, it's just exactly what I imagined Joy to be like. So yeah, for Kalli's benefit as well, Joy is essentially the kind of right-hand lady to Pride, who Pride currently is one of the Table of the Five Blades, etc. So she's like a counsellor. When the Five Blades people are too busy to actually turn up to meetings, it's all their counsellors that have to deal with it. Instead,
Busy.
Yes, busy, locked in their own
pretending
vault.
to be another queen.
Yes. Okay. Did you guys have any other questions of unresolved things that needed to be covered in my 2-week blurb?
Yes.
Yes.
Aluben.
Yes. Okay. Is that all I'm getting?
So we ended on like a cliffhanger with her.
Yes. So
almost. It was just like.
I'll recontextualize that. So you and Aluben were obviously in your epilogue scene, kind of been like at any point during that 2-week bubble. As far as you're concerned, it can be at any point, probably earlier the better. And ultimately, Aluben feels like you've got to the place where you've been through enough, given everything you've witnessed together, that she's willing to trust you with, a bigger secret for us. So instead of being kind of like this wind effect type shape, she obviously dismissed that kind of guise and presented as the kind of golden gold leaf elf she is. And she revealed that her name was Aluben. So she's one of the gold leaves, or at least was one of the gold leaves. She would have went on to say, again, we didn't have a lot of time to cover a lot of the conversations, but she would have went on to say that she would appreciate if this was a secret kept between the two of you till she feels the others could be trusted as deeply. She didn't imply she doesn't trust the others, it's just that our connection's with you. Our bond is with you. It's not with you.
And like we've been together for years and years at this point, and she's only just trusting me with it.
Exactly. A lot of it's just through the decisions like you've had to make in the last like a couple of weeks, quite frankly. Quite dramatic, life-altering decisions. I mean, effectively, she even confronted her own. Do you know what I mean? As well. She also, as we discovered, the party thought they'd handed over one of these soul gems to Sloth, and Aluben hung back, chat with Sloth, and seems to have left with that gem. Handed that over to Stellara as well. Whether or not Modestellara knew what she was, confronted with, because again, she is blind, but it doesn't seem to stop her seeing a lot. So interesting. And it does seem like whatever observations she was doing on that storm island, the Stormwall Island, seems to have like caused her to be blind. And it seems like it was observations of Almanis of the Black Spire, who we have reasons to believe are Bran and El Ironroot. So
Seeing a lot and saying nothing.
What was her little caution to those who walk through the forests of other people's minds?
Yes. That's the other
She
thing as well.
is
All the elves
shady.
talk wankery, and I love it. So, okay, so any other questions about the 2-week period? Because please hit me with everything, because I probably have forgot a million things I wanted to say.
Are Vermi and Loudon still in the city, or have they headed back to Denk now?
No, they are back in Denk. They stayed to help, obviously, with the city cleanup, PR point of view, and then Loudon went back to Loudon Hall to fix the mess Pride made of that. The graveyard was obviously quite a bit up in arms. Yeah. The fact that
Does that mean she's going to meet Douglas DeGale?
well, he's in the old like Loudon residence, so yeah, it would do. So there's a good chance they've had their reunion. That's a scene we don't have to see. So yes, her old husband, technically still husband. Yeah, it's confusing.
Right, Pride's husband.
Pride's Loudon's husband. Yeah, yes.
Yeah.
Very odd. So, but yeah, she's went back to sort that out, and Brandrin Lightscale has been notified as well. So there's a good chance that Kalli's character, Ignysera, travelled with Brandrin Lightscale from Labratis down to Cascade City in that period of time, just because, I wouldn't travel with people that are like essentially extended family. And he carried on, whereas Sarah stayed and was basically assigned with you guys by Quilburn. As I said, Brandon obviously headed straight to Loudon Hall, because why wouldn't he? Kind of hasn't spoke much to Loudon in 2 years, so quite like to know how she is and how their daughter is. Yep. So Verme, Loudon, and Brandon have probably had a lot of family time period, while Verme's still trying to get her queendom up and running fully. I believe Lockheart's still tasked with finding her high commander for her personal guard as well, someone suitable for the role. It's unlikely Samda is gonna just take up that job again. Samda has definitely went to Loudon to see her family have a much needed return for them. And the awkward thing as well is it's just gonna prove Jack right in the end. When it was like, I don't believe that my mom came back. And it's like, funny story. There's a long story to that, but yeah. So
but that's a happy, at least. Yeah,
definitely a happy reunion for them because he gets his mum back, which is obviously adorable for that.
What if he doesn't trust that it's actually her?
He will. He 100% will, because I'm writing him, and he does.
He's just telling us that he trusts it, really.
No, I'm gaslighting you, that's right. Professional gaslighting. That's GMing, right? Oh god. Try to think, let me check my notes and make sure I've covered all the basics that I wanted to cover, and yes, that's what I consider basics.
There's a settlement in the south of Denk that's in need of a new name.
It does need a new name, but nobody's screamed at me we should call it this yet, so I assumed you wanted time to think about that. Do you have suggestions for what Proudfall should be renamed to? Because things we know about it, Kamala seems to be the person in charge of it now, leading the kind of community itself. It's obviously an old fortified structure on the side of a silver mine as well. It's on the Rocksfall mountain range. We know that there was maybe not a Fae, thing that happened on top of that in the lake. Yep. Yep. Definitely didn't bring that up for Kalli.
We have not mentioned our good friend who Falkwin has never met,
No.
but has heard lots about.
Yes. So Falkwin has looped in on Chiral, the Fae. However, I will leave that up to you guys when to tell Sarah. Because I don't think it's the first thing
But
you would
they
lead
are
with.
still alive.
So far, yes.
Hi,
But
we know a Fae.
remember those nightmare creatures from 900 years ago? Yeah, hey, we have one that we're trying to keep alive.
Have one.
So
He's still in Pridefall.
no,
Right?
so he's in the
In
he's in the palace of Denk.
Right. Yes.
Yes.
Oh yeah. Where he took a knife for.
He got stabbed by the blade.
Third
Yeah.
blade of the demon. So sorry, the second blade of the demon. Sorry, the third blade's of humans. It looked like the third blade, that's why I got myself confused by my own story. But yes, for Lockhart's benefit there as well, Chiral is still in this weird stasis of isn't getting better but isn't getting worse but is still in pain, and like the status quo seems to be that, and it seems like if you stop fighting, you're only going to lose ground rather than so basically all the efforts that are going in are keeping the status quo at this moment.
That's fine then. We'll just keep that up.
The problem is people like yourself are probably the people healing him. Skeptics of, is this a sensible idea doing this? And if we've learned anything about how the Fae operate, it seems like, your surroundings and what people expect as reality seem to be important. So, yeah, there's probably not a lot of people that want him to survive, but wouldn't outright attempt to kill him. But that also probably means it's unlikely to help the situation given how narratively burdened Chiral is. So yeah, that's still a pending, but it's still on the quest list of try and help if can. Definitely worth keeping in mind. We'll go over the goal list as well. Check my notes. I don't think there's anything else I need to cover unless I've got loads. As I said, we've got Felix, one continent, Kale is the other. There are so many names I've wrote down that clearly I had ideas for NPCs, but there's no other information. That's fine. So I think that's that. Does anyone have any more questions for me, or does Kalli have any questions for anyone?
No, yeah, all just trying to get it in my brain through osmosis or something. Who knows?
It'll work its way in there eventually. As I said, you picked up Cadence quick enough, and so did Hannah, so I have faith that you'll pick this up as well.
Okay.
I personally think Cadence was more complicated than this, so Cascade is pretty straightforward by comparison. That might just be the lack of Crumbar.
There's less moons here.
There are less moons. Yes, that's true. Okay. God, my list of open-ended plots that I made, which ended up being a page and a half. I'm like, oh, yep, we do have a lot to cover. That is true. Okay, so other things then. Before Myr'ra returned, so if we go back 2 weeks, so we're still in the highs of the attack of the Farron, the aftermath of losing Myr'ra. People had ran down those steps towards the vault, try and suss out what was happening, the missing soul well, etc. We obviously had Myr'ra speaking to Brananel as it was revealed once the illusions were dispelled, and there sat an elf with their pointy ears, their 5-pronged iron look, kind of white stained hair. I guess a complexion that shows that they've been through a lot, but not necessarily they have aged much, given that they're an elf. And again, again, very like intimidating black iron-looking armor that looks reminiscent of the architecture around Cascade, say. You continue, obviously, like before you have parted ways conversationally, you're kind of in the middle of it all, and kind of agreed, like, you know, getting your people back seemed like something you were quite happy to help him with.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And I think he'd like broke your teacup accidentally and fixed it.
Mhm.
And I can't
Yes,
remember if
because I made tea.
you did. You made a tea and offered it to him. Of course you did. That's what Myr'ra does.
That's what Myr'ra does.
Yeah, and kind of just like mostly is taking in the kind of surreality of the moment, because again, like it was quite bemused by the fact that you were brave enough to walk through. I think his comment was something like, "Is it bravery? Like was it bravery or foolishness or something like that?" Yeah, like yeah, it's like it's a happy mix of both.
Curiosity. Yeah.
Yes, yeah. He also referred to you as Little Bird as well.
Yes.
Again, clearly from Myr'ra's point of view, you can tell that like your scanning magic is as effective as it needs to be when you need it to be. It seems like he has access to very similar stuff. Again, you had that almost like that tingle of, oh, that's just been, yep, open book, Myr'ra.
Cool.
But yeah, as he was sharing his story, kind of like, again, there is that like, it's reminiscent of Sloth's appearance as well, that melancholy of different though. Sloth's 900 years after that happened. This doesn't seem like it's someone remembering that far back. This seems like it's someone that was remembering not that long ago at all. It seems a lot fresher for Brandon Ellis. It seems a lot that, or he carries it more personally than Sloth. Because it did seem like Brandon Ellis was taking a lot of that on his own shoulders. But he says to you, the events that led to our desperation. How much do you know of the Fae? Not a loaded question at all.
Some. It has been 900 years, and it's hard to tell what's story from what's fact.
He gives you a look, like you get it when you say that. It says, and you have had experience with the Fae. Almost in a, that's exactly the thing. It says, yes, we found it difficult to tell story from fact. Also, it was during the war. The Fae are one entity and many. We are individual, they can be, and they are still yet the Fae. It's quite hard to fathom with the way we see the world around us. We experience it quite uniquely. They do not. Would attack one and the retaliation could be an army. Again, kind of lost in thought, semi-dissociating through the conversation, kind of like playing with a teacup absent-mindedly, walking it on the saucer and stuff like that. So this, and he kind of gestures over his shoulder where like the soul well is sitting. He says, this was something the devils and the Iron Root designed and constructed together. Our combined skill set, energies, created something that was probably not meant to be in this world. Very dangerous tool. And like again, that wave of it says the Fae are, and again dissociates. It says they were let into this world to us to show them. Kind of just like as if nodding to himself, as if like we did the right thing, right? Like that kind of, it has to have been the right thing that we did, because like you're still here basically. Like people are still here, so You know, you just
Yeah.
told me it's 900 years since, but there's a lot, you know. And while this person might be quite good at a poker face, you can see there's a lot coming through.
Mhm.
Like also, like their eyes have this kind of like distant shimmer, as if there's like speckled lights in them. Like they're just their eyes the whole time. It's odd because they kind of give a kind of cold impression. The eyes, like as if they're looking past you. You can
Mhm.
kind of tell with the rest of the facial expression, like this person's like quite damaged from what's happened. And yeah, he said, we were to perform a ritual to secure this world, to shut them out. It's more. The devils let them in, and I do not think they knew what they were doing. Lay blame at their feet. But it was in the way. Kind of just lets that hang a second. And
Mhm.
you can tell he's trying to read you as well as handle his own like reminiscing.
Yeah, I think Myr'ra would not look shocked. Again, knows the history of the devils were the ones who came first to say we've been under attack from these
Yep.
things. It rings true.
And then I remember
That
the
they
first
would
time
have
we're
had
like,
a hand.
absolutely fucking not. We're jumping on
Yes.
this. Everyone's a team
Yeah.
now. We all get cool swords to battle.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. The devils have that, like, you can see the vibe of,
Mhm.
oh, I fucked this up. Fix it, please.
Yeah, like we didn't know what we were doing. Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, kind of like nods as if seeing that you're following. The one that says, believe, come to be known as Sloth in this time.
Mhm.
And give me a second, because I think he would probably use the name he would have known Sloth by. Just see if I've got that in my notes.
Gary.
Gregory!
Vigor. Sloth in his youth.
Pervon? What? Teleporno? No.
Imagine if the young devils were all the sort of better versions of the sin edition. Like pride could have been humility, sloth could have been vigor.
Oh, like they're opposites.
I guess, yeah.
I have this written somewhere.
Could be opposite, or maybe it could be like the same thing but
Yeah, the
different.
same thing, but
So maybe,
good.
yeah,
Pride
so
would be like hope.
Yeah, all the
yeah,
virtues, you mean?
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
yeah, or like
Yeah.
sloth would be, I guess, like relaxation.
In the
Oh, yeah, like the non-negative.
Rest.
Yeah.
Mm.
in
Yeah.
the original draft for all this setting, which again 10 years plus ago, the angels that replaced them were all the virtues.
Mm.
Yeah.
Oh, yes, because they still come from. Yes.
That's why they consider themselves
Alatar
celestials. Alatar and
um,
Gian. Yep.
Ian. I
All the
remembered
time.
Eve.
Yeah.
Couldn't remember the nice ones.
I'm surprised. I'm sorry, I'm not surprised you remembered Eve.
Member of the Church of Dark.
Yeah. Okay, so I don't know what I've done with the page that has all their original names on it. But he would have used Sloth's original name, so we can note that down that you also know that. But he's been around enough to know that people call him Sloth. Yeah, it's annoying. I don't know where piece of paper. Oh well, I'll chalk that up to one of these many pieces of paper that I've got.
The virtues are chastity, temperance, charity, diligence, kindness, patience, and humility.
They also can change a bit. I think there's multiple lists of varying
Mm.
virtues that can come up. I only say this because I've looked at that before for naming conventions.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I generally don't know what I've done with that piece of paper. But again, it will be in a notebook, so we'll retroactively fill that in at some point. Definitely don't have. Definitely not in all the previous ones. Do you know? Might be in my other book. Give me a second, because I think it's in the other room. Because there's the fancy notebook where I started writing all this in, and I had to stop because it was too fancy. BRB.
Mhm. Quick, theorize.
Yeah, we've got the stream now.
Oh my
Anything we
gosh.
say is canon. Can't say it's not. And it's on the
Oh.
stream.
Evidence.
means it's
Oh no,
all
but
real.
we've got evidence of doing good. I mean, what? Didn't do nothing.
No.
I have returned. This is the fancy book.
Oh, that is very.
There was a post-it on it that just said Brad and L. I don't know why.
Sure.
It's like, okay, there we go. So
that meme's like, oh, DMs have everything planned out, right? Looks behind the screen. Goblin? Question mark.
I do like though that the little page divider thing was at the page with all the names of the devils.
Yay!
It was somewhat planned out, just probably one of those many months ago. Just pick up all the paper I've now just dropped. First session back. Definitely organised. Okay, I don't know what order that was in. It's fine. So, the name that Brananel refers to, and you can like you can piece this together and understand that sloth is Elas.
Oh.
I can spell that for you if you would like.
Yes, please. Thank
Because
you.
everything has subtitles in this world, which is handy. So it's AE apostrophe capital L double AS.
Cool.
So it's a bit like alas, the word, but it's
Oh, yeah.
Elas, everything's stretched.
A wee lassie.
Elas. So Branel refers to sloth as Elas. And he mentions that Elas's plan is to carve a world for him and his kin, separate to this one, parallel, and open to any mortal who wished to go with him, free themselves from the cycle. As you can imagine, was eager to part ways from Gian. This was not something we would stop anyone else doing, and from what we could work out, they would never find peace here. They were not made for this world. Kind of like, when he says that, he gives like a kind of look over himself a little bit, as if... And then says, it seems like they are here still. He kind of just like nods. Says, we gave them a home at first. They needed heat. Got here. Terribly frostbitten, it seemed. Housed a city upon fire. It was gifted to them. It was not needed once we had built our greatest works. And it gestures vaguely, kind of just to the air, more like he's reminiscing about slightly fonder memories. And it says, I believe it was just simply called the City of Cascade. Kind of just nods to himself. I am pleased to see it still standing, and housing many of this world's peoples. That lets me know that some of my choices weren't. Kind of just, again, nods. You can see like he's almost trying to psych himself up a bit. You know, like, some things worked out, right? But yes, he goes, fortunately the devils didn't quite fully explain the ramification of what we would do. But that's assuming they even knew themselves. It seemed like hope was our primary driving force back then. when confronted with a monster such as the Fae, desperation becomes a very close ally. Ritual is to perform to seal us from the Fae. Seal event. I quite surprised to find myself still part of this world after channeling that much power. Soulwell is a conduit to pull on powers of those around. And as the self-appointed caretakers of this world, the Iron Root, all volunteered to protect. I was somewhat selfish at one out of the my lifekin. And then like you can see like there is like a tear forming. It's not fell, but it is definitely like forming in like one of his eyes. It's like I hope that they found peace in the end. Did not expect that my actions would have isolated them. Thought we would have been left together. Died. Again, he just seems mega sad about that. The implication here being that like he thought if he survived this ritual, he could have kept his life mate. They could have just lived as the last two, and then everybody else would have been gone, but everybody would have been safe. And now he's like, but it took me a while, and that means that they're likely the person that was left until they died, and then they were alone the whole time, and he just feels like shit because of that. Right. Yeah, so he's got like
Yeah.
Yep.
Oh.
So he's
But
there.
also, like, I think, Myr'ra's thinking about the fact that just as according to common story myth, they were all gone. So where, like, this person could still be out there. They could be somewhere. They could be hiding.
And like, keep in mind that nobody's meant to live forever in this world. People are meant to die. So like, as far
900 years is still a long time.
Yeah, it's a long time, especially alone in a world where all your people are gone. Like, yeah. So,
but maybe
who knows?
Myr'ra's gonna hope.
Yeah, hope. Yeah, the ally of the desperate. And he says, "Only hope that when I'm reunited with the cycle, they can forgive me." Obviously, there's a dramatic pause there because he takes a moment.
Yeah.
He says,
"Or Morty."
Yes, I think like when you like gesture to that, he can like move his hand from playing with a cup. And that's quite a gift you have.
He can soothe lots of things. It's more the action of forming a small.
He laughs a little bit, more to himself as if it's like a private joke. He says, "Sorry, I'm reminded of fonder times. Someone once spilled tea. Ever so flustered. So incredibly sweet of them to have thought that I would." And then it, kind of like, again, clearly like happier, right, about this. I can just find the page I wrote that on. He says, "Yes, I believe it was some kind of stately dinner of elves before the war. Great families assembled. Daughter of the gods spilt some wine. Excitement. Parents were so worried. The autumn had truly drained from them." Kind of chuckles himself at that. And I believe they also survived. Is this true? The elves doing well. I haven't left here much. He kind of gestures around the kind of tower. Been somewhat volatile. Kind of just like nods to himself. Shakes his head a bit. says, the ritual worked. He isolated the Fae. At least call it their Leslie sent it to the turtle so that she knew posed it to them. Their terms for leave never be forgotten. That was agreed. She left sealed step. This ritual. I would say that it was more tricks and hope that caused this to be a success, because I do truly feel if it had back in, there would be very little we could do to stop. Really show of strength enough in a moment of weakness on their part. Some internal politics or something. I don't know what that even means for creatures like the Fae. But they were returned. This world was safe. A single soul of so. This barrier is merely a signpost. I am tearing it down and restoring those I can. There are many in this world that will try and stop me, label some kind of threat. As it stands, it kind of like lifts his hand up, and there's just like this kind of like emanation of like almost like a kind of after image echo or white light.
Mm-hmm.
But I doubt there are many in this world that could stand against me, its current state. But I do not know its residual energy. But I intend to use all of it to store my. May the gods have mercy on those that stand in.
You deserve the right to try.
I can
Anyway.
only imagine the reason I'm still breathing is to try. Why wasn't I killed? Explosion. He kind of just takes like a deep breath. Like he's almost like himself a bit worked up.
Yeah, fair.
Yeah. Kind of like stands, wipes that tear away.
Mhm.
Your company has been quite delightful. Been some time. Conversation. I would advise that the people that you share the knowledge of my existence with be limited, given that I think be mistaken for an ally. But to start taking steps to undo what has brought around 9 years of peace. Imagine many people upset.
I will tell those I trust. In any way we can help. You deserve the right to return your people. And if something, even if it's brought peace, is built on a lie, we all deserve the right to build something fresh.
He just nods and says, "Believe the gods have brought you to me. Before you return to your cage, little bird, is there beyond what we discussed?" That's just a player agency moment.
Yeah.
Like,
Player agency moment. What?
Yep. And obviously anyone can be part of this moment.
I do. I feel lots has been covered.
Yeah.
What was Pride's name?
I had like so many
Can you
pieces of
list
paper for this
the names?
conversation that I'm like, I don't have time to cover it all.
Yeah, I should maybe ask that, to be fair, just in terms of if we're about to go to Caldera. Possibly, well, she doesn't know that yet, but it's been on the cards vaguely. and we're looking into like ancient history,
I
knowing the
think you
names that
wanted
people
to go to
used
see
to
like
be.
your grandmother as well, so like you don't. There's no
Yeah,
real big
yeah.
meta.
She's always been quite keen
Mhm.
to meet mysterious benefactor grandma. Sends you creepy gifts, like hats that drink blood.
That fucking cursed hat, Laszlo.
Yeah. Um,
It's cool. It's ridiculous.
Oh.
I mean, I
Yeah.
wouldn't mind.
like I want to know the devils, but yes. Yeah.
But like, I mean, Caldera, it seems like a good candidate for your city of like fire.
Yeah, for
Or
sure.
was,
That's got to
but,
be.
like,
They also gave like, but that sounds like they built a mountain, or they just found a mountain
but I
and
also
gifted it to them.
recall, was there not something about the devils being cold?
Yes, yeah. So they like Pride's powers are all frosty.
And our Fae were frostbitten when they turned up.
Not the Fae.
The devils,
Devils were frostbitten when they turned up.
and then they opened the door to the Fae.
Because they were like, it's really cold here, we're going to make a new world with heaters. Like, MD's welcome.
Because yes, that was so. That's also interesting because that sounds then like Sloth's paradise plan predates the Fae War.
Well, it seems like that's what may have caused
Yeah, caused the Fae.
the Fae War.
Oh, Sloth.
Sorry, did I get?
Alas.
I may have gotten this mixed up. So did the Fae, the no, the Fae came from somewhere else.
So I'll talk through what was just discussed here, right? So devils turned up and were cold, and the Ironroots gave them a city, basically on a volcano. Okay. That, like, I think it's been said before in one of the arcs, but Basin was the original name of the city at the top of the volcano, which was an Ironroot city that has been shortened to Sin. That is
Yes.
what the devils
And then
call
there's
it.
the pit
And
at
the
the bottom.
pit at the bottom, which is like a big massive slum city.
Yeah.
So that's all covered. That was covered, I'm sure, in like the first or second arc as a random aside conversation I probably had, foreshadowing nothing at all. But the Fae were given that because, the devils were given that because it was a source of heat, basically, that they could be near. We've seen when Pride was resurrecting Loudon and Samda, they got frostbitten to fuck anytime they tried to access their celestial powers. So, and anyone that's religious knows that anyone that follows Eve is denied light and heat. That's a very religious-y tone to the
Yeah.
to the, like light and heat is Alatas and Gians alone. You've got cold and darkness. So that's why
Yay.
the devils and demons kind of lean more into that. Doesn't mean a demon can't throw a fireball, it's just unlikely. Can be done, just unlikely. On that, then the devils turned up and went, oops, Fae? And the Ironroot went, no. No, let's fix this immediately. And then that caused the Fae War. Because once the Fae got in, from what the people that met Kyril and spoke to Kyril could probably parse together why the Fae stayed. So
Oh, sorry. I was also just they are scary.
Yeah, so but it was the devils that sort of brought the Fae.
seems like it. The devils caused the Fae to get
Sounds
in.
like
Yeah. Okay.
so. Sloth was trying to make his paradise.
Yeah.
And in doing that, let the Fae in.
No,
Which I suppose is why he views the Fae War as taking paradise away from him. Because they couldn't do that as a concept anymore because it got him in trouble.
Yeah. And like he had to use like his idea of paradise to fix it.
Yeah.
And that seems to also be what Branel's talking about. Like
Yeah.
Paradise
also,
for them
Queen
is
of
not...
the Fae.
Yes, Queen of the
She's
Fae.
not been mentioned before.
No.
Oh.
Yep. Okay. Any questions from the party as players to the, Myr'ra in the moment? Anything you just want to have clarified? before the timelines kind of sync their way back up.
What was the wine that he had spilled on?
Was it by Alu Ben? I can't ask that because I don't know that.
Oh. Any other?
And was that eventually his life partner?
Yes. I also wondered that because that's a very meat cute.
Aluben's gold leaf, not iron root, right?
Yes.
She is.
It was the iron roots who all gave their lives.
Did specifically say he left his life kin from the ritual.
Yeah, so it sounds like life kin is iron root.
I think Aliben said they weren't at the war, like they weren't as old as that.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like Aliben said something vaguely like that at some point.
Mm.
Don't remember exactly what, but I know they probably mentioned that they came a couple of centuries after the war, something vague like that. Because I'm sure you asked Aliben about something that would have happened then. They're like, no, I came before my time or something. They said.
So
they
I
could
think
just be
we
lying,
asked
but
when we were establishing who had been there, because it was of the 3 elven rulers, 2 had and 1 hadn't, and that was also weird because that's very, very old.
Yes,
and they are part of the cycle
Modestylara
people.
and Lundoranthwil are both very old.
And then the bronze bark
Herdwarn is much younger. Yes. Yeah, I went
Only
easier myself
slightly-
with these fucking names, didn't I? Sorry, Sean?
Only slightly old.
Only slightly old. Yes.
Only a few centuries.
Yeah.
Just drop in the pond.
Yeah. Old enough to get, king. Any questions for Brandon L?
I really kind of want to know what he thinks of Modestylara. Like, what is the deal between the elf clans?
I also worry that's from her side though, and that I don't know if I want to bring that up just in terms of did you blind her on purpose? Seems like a mean question. But also the fact that she warned, I agree with you. I am suspicious of her because she was like, "Do not go near him; he will kill you." That feels like she maybe knows something, but I don't know if it's worth bringing up to him to add more trauma to the. Hey, this person you might have been friends with might have also betrayed you. I don't want to add to his trauma.
I do. I want to ask about Modestylara. You need to know this.
Well, can you phrase it in a non-trauma way?
Yeah.
You could ask about. So the current rulers of the.
To be fair, I could ask him. Is there anything you want to know? And then maybe he'll ask about people he knows.
Current politics, current rulers, but that gives him too much latitude to be like, no, I'm good.
Yeah.
Well, he seems quite driven to get his plan started, whatever that is, right? Because we know roughly what the outcome of that is Farron back to being Ironroot Elves is the best outcome.
I see that as a positive. Net gain to the
maybe Modestylara does not see that as a positive. Maybe she knows that this is his plan.
Yeah.
And if she knows anything more than what you can assume, if she knows about the Farron, she's obviously not said that to anyone ever.
Yeah.
And she
and
knows
just let
those
people kill
three
them.
Farron without a second thought. If she knows they're like, oh, those are potential Iron Elves. Blah.
So here's the question then. The other rulers at the time, so whichever human king, whichever Draconic king, whichever dwarven king, did they know
who else was involved in the plan?
What happened to the Iron Root? Did the devils know? Did the other elves know? And if any of these people did know, well, okay, who's still alive now? And of the other ones, did they let that secret die? Did they pass it down? I mean, he wouldn't know that, but that's for us to think about.
No. But yeah, that could be a good in terms of he doesn't know how much the devils knew of But that could be interesting to ask. Did anybody else know? Okay.
Okay. Back in the moment.
Just to help with, I suppose, keeping an eye out. Did anyone else know what the ritual was? Or was it kept between those involved?
His eyes kind of like narrow as if he's like in thought. Afraid given that even I didn't know its full extent. Even though I thought I did. Thought I knew the risks that king. I thought it best not to risk more than needed this knowledge. If the soul well was used again, it was a great risk to the seeming peace it did achieve,
Mm-hmm.
even if it was not in the way. So no, devils self, which I shared with simply that there was sacrifice and life. As children of the cycle, that didn't scare us. Since I was pleased to see that the mother is sent to lock it away, like gestures to the soul well. Can I assume it has since?
I was going to think about, like, I assume he knows it was used tonight. And yeah, she'll say, I don't think it's very well known. It was Pride who opened it tonight.
Ah yes, Dross.
Yes.
Spell out. Spell.
Yes, please.
Yep, so it's AE apostrophe
Uh-huh.
YUNDR Eandros.
Oh.
Yeah, the celestially trained amongst you really tell that AE apostrophe is generally the equivalent of saying from Alata.
I don't think Myr'ra would know
Yeah.
that. Yeah.
But if that knowledge ever made its way to someone like Falkwin, there's a good chance Falkwin might know that.
Indeed.
Oh, yes. Myr'ra will instantly tell everybody this information.
Eandros and Elas. That's what we've got so far. It just nods and says, "It's the seven were present. It's ritual. There is also. After all, it was their folly that had caused this. Assumed this world could fuel theirs to shape the home themselves. Did not quite expect this world they broke into to be alive. He says it with a bit like, not anger, but like, fucking devils.
Yeah,
Better.
acted without thinking. I think Myr'ra will be thinking about the fact that, to be fair, they do seem to be they try to fix their mistakes when they make them.
Yeah, like...
Because, like, Pride's just done the same thing of, like, fucked a bunch of shit up and then gone, I suppose I'll try and fix it. But there's a big self-interest going on there.
Yes.
There's a big, like, oh, this is bad for me. So I'll try and sort it out.
Yep.
The gold leafs, though. Where
it
are
always
they?
goes back to the
What
gold
did
leaf.
they do? Because they fucked off to somewhere else as well, right?
That is true.
They did.
That is true. They disappeared. But they come back in times of great need. Yeah, Myr'ra's happy
Yeah.
to bring it up in kind of like a, just you've probably woken up quite recently. From what we are aware, the leaders of the gold leaf and the silver
Thorn.
thorn. I was like, what's the nature adjective? Are still the same as they were in your time.
Kind of like it goes. Odestellara and Dorenth will.
Remain leaders of their people.
Also,
although we've had
I have
very...
not wrote whatever Lundaranthuil's name was before he changed it to He Who Conquered the Moon.
Oh yes,
which
so
is
true.
what Lundaranthuil means. So he does say whatever Lundaranthuil's name would have been.
And I probably go, oh, I have not heard of him.
But then he'll finish with saying Silverthorn, so that you know
He's-
it's that particular one.
Yeah.
He who one day will conquer the moon.
He who
Yeah.
one day will conquer the
He
moon and be
knew
named
it.
thusly.
It was ready.
But yes, so
So,
he
yeah.
kind of like acknowledges those
Yeah.
two. He kind of gives you like a funny look when he acknowledges that and says, "Why?"
Myr'ra will shrug. They haven't been massively involved. The bronze bark remained and are very present. But even in Cascade City, seeing Silverthorn or Goldleaf Elves is very, very rare.
Bronzebark was killed during.
Yes, their new king is. I repeat his name.
Eardwarnan. Yep. Air Duar.
Lovely.
Kind of like thinks about it. Is there any particular reason as to why they joined the cycle?
And Myr'ra will shrug as like, none I am privy to.
If
It's
you were
not.
telling
Tell him
me,
about the gold leaves.
like, if you were telling me that it's been or so years since the war, then I'd live any.
Again, Myr'ra will just look like, I was just giving you information.
He's
Tell
like,
him about the
Yeah.
Tell him about the gold leaves fucking off. Tell him about the gold leaves fucking off.
Conspiracy board, please.
the Brannon L conspiracy board.
Yes, thank you so much.
Protect the tower.
But that's interesting, just as a Hannah thought to us lot.
Sean
That
is
means
on
he
it.
doesn't know that he blinded her.
Mm.
Because if that sounds like he was not aware she was alive. So he doesn't specifically know that, at least as far as she's told people, that he was
she
involved in
also said,
blinding.
like, you know, Mal'Manus of the Black Spire, the evil sorcerer on the
Yeah.
Big Storm Island, is getting up to
She
shenanigans.
named him. Yeah. Yeah. This is her.
To be fair, so did Quilburn.
Yeah.
Quilburn also said he was studying that.
True.
It seems to have been like maybe like 3 or 4 years activity happened on that island.
Which is, we're now assuming when Brannon like woke up.
Yeah.
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 I'm on a gold leaf inquisition here. I think
Yeah.
they're up to no good.
Let's add them to the list of people we don't trust. It's quite long.
So, did you ask? Does he know that the gold leafs left?
It doesn't seem like I've kind of just said that they're not very present. But yeah, that doesn't. Well, it doesn't sound like he knew they would. It's probably assumed they wouldn't be the same people.
Yeah, because like as far as he's concerned,
Yeah.
like 900 years, they should have died a long time ago.
Yeah.
Like maybe 300's a reasonable age for an elf to get in this world, but like it's obviously it varies, and you know the Fey War changed a lot of people's math. So yeah,
Yeah.
and not to live that long.
And all because that's not supposed to. They're
Yeah,
supposed
nothing's
to
meant to be
want to
immortal in
join the
this world.
cycle.
Yep.
Yeah.
It's just elves live
So-
longer than most races. Dwarves and saurians live roughly the same. Draconics about the same again. Humans like live the shortest, as is always the bummer.
Squishy.
how much is common knowledge about the Gold Leaves Exodus? Is that just something that we know as players, or
people-
do the characters?
People know, right? So in the world, the lore is that obviously they knew there were four elves: the Ironwood, the Gold Leaf, the Silverthorn, the Bark. They know that the Iron Roots were gone. The Fey War, they big sacrifice saved every day, happy days. They also like built the city and basically united the continent, right? So they did so much for the world. Never mind housing the wayward devils. Right? Did so much for the world, made the blades, etc. A whole system of government that's still working today. And yeah.
What do you mean it's totally fine?
Yeah, totally fine. No flaws at all. Magic swords, picking rulers, totally fine. But then, like, people just stopped seeing the gold leafs around. Like, after the war. The gold leafs took that, like, the war so seriously and personally, right? And as the most magically inclined of all the elves, they were like, we need to make sure none of that happens again. And then vanished and their woods became spooky and haunted, and people were like, we're just not going in there. So they've kind of just left their woods. So realistically, the gold leaf could still just live in the middle of their forest, and people were like, oh, they're spooky and nobody's going to come in. But also,
Okay.
it seems like they just are in their own city. There are rumors that place is called Mirage.
Okay, so it's not accepted known fact that they went into the little pocket dimension and
No.
did what Sloth wanted to do. Okay.
Not at all. That is
And
easily
that-
what they did. It's
That
mostly
may
just
indeed not be true. Okay.
It's if you're in the government of Cascade City specifically, you're more likely to encounter a gold leaf elf if something big happens in the world. And in 900 years, you could imagine 10 or less things that important has happened that the gold leafs have turned up to. If there is a new ruler, obviously, there's always that meeting that happens. They officially acknowledge that that's a thing that people do. But it's not like the way Lundaranthil had a bunch of Silverthorns with them. Or like, Erdoarnon would have had like a whole like retinue of people. Because obviously like the Bronzebark elves like mingle with anyone they fucking can because they're quite friendly. But yeah, with the Silverthorn are very isolationist themselves, but if you needed them or had permission to visit or whatever, like all fine, but it'd be very much a case of, oh, you were brought here for this thing? Cool, here is your guide, never leave them. Like, you'll be in here, be escorted the whole way, wouldn't have free reign, whereas the Bronzebarks were like, oh, can you come? Like, very different attitudes. The Gold Leafs, I mean, the further out of civilization you go, the more people will be like, aren't they all gone? Weren't they made up? Weren't they the Fae? Like, there are so many random nonsense rumours that will come out because they're just not present in the world as much as Silverthorn and Bronzebark. But, like, anyone that's, keeping themselves up to date on current affairs would not exist. And they just have either protected their woods so well that people get lost in them, or they have made another home somewhere else. that specific part of that magic they made themselves a home. It's almost like a scholarly rumor in the Arcanatrix, because that would be an amazing feat to do. They just did that. Yeah. And it does seem weirdly similar to what Sloth was trying to achieve. So, and happened maybe a century after, give or take. At least some point after the Fae War, they seem to have vanished from the current conversation. Obviously, people turned to them initially because with the Ironwood's gone, and we're like, "Oh, gold leafs," and they're like, "Whoa, wait a minute." No. So yeah, they were not taking responsibility for the world. Yep. So there's a bit of blurb for that. Any other questions for Brandon L?
Do I remember right that he was like just messing with shipping as well?
Messing with what?
Like ships trying to cross the sea, or like avoiding his rock.
So his island seems to be covered in a storm, like a big storm wall thing. So anyone that sails close to it is just. Is he doing it? Like,
Is it residual? Yeah.
Is Modesta Lara doing it to keep people away from him?
Such a good question.
add it to the conspiracy board of
Mhm.
Modesta Lara bullshit.
We just cross out Magna and write Modesta
Yep.
Lara.
Right, quick, get Scott in here because he would love this. That Sean, we're referencing like the other game we were in together as a group. Scott, who played in this game briefly as well, he played a half-orc paladin man that just hated the Wizard King of the world. He just anyone that came into the game heard everything Magna did for the world, which was amazing feats of like safety and everything and ingenuity.
Yeah.
And Scott realizes, yeah, he's a cunt though. And that was it.
Like,
That
yeah,
was
but he's kind of a dick, so.
Yeah.
Scott
I
hated
think
him so much.
Yeah, definitely think it's because he named himself Wizard King of the world.
Yup.
Mhm.
Big dick energy.
Yup.
Yeah.
And Scott just hated that like Magnan didn't ever have time for them. He's like, he doesn't know who you are.
But we're the main
When he's
character.
the king, come on.
That's why this is reminding us of the Magna Crumbar relationship, where it was just bad vibes is what Scott ran on, and it obviously seems like there's enough bad vibes for Modesta Lara or the Gold Leafs generally here as well to have the same style of board as well. So I'm like, oh, that's good. But yes, Alexander, was there any more to your thoughts other than ships?
Yeah, no, I was trying to remember what the problem was. Like, what are they actually stopping?
No, it just seems to be
Particular.
like he doesn't seem to have like mentioned. Oh, also, I just maintained a storm casually. But would he bring that up? Would he not? It's hard to say.
And it's not a case of, again, not to keep referencing Cadence, but it's not like Cadence where like these are all dangerous and you can't use them at all without wizardly help. It's more, if you get too near this island, your ship gets sunk. Okay.
Yeah, people go routes specifically to avoid it because it's been a problem for them. Yeah.
Do we know why he is on that island?
Not really, because technically you're guessing that's where yous are. Right
Yeah. I don't know. I
like
just
you just know you're in a black structure very similar to Cascade City, but he's referenced Cascade City in such a third-person way that you could assume that you're
like I'm
not
not
there.
there.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. But all bets point to the big black spire in the middle of the sea, surrounded by a storm, where two very important people said an evil wizard lives there. So,
and to be fair, we just saw said evil wizard turn out not to be that evil. So,
yeah.
But also definitely to be the wizard.
Yes. So, questions? Any left for Brennan L? Ironroot? Lost King?
I think
What's your opinion on slaves?
so. We've got these rackets. I think Myr'ra would, having known what happened with Sir Thane and forms of communication, would maybe let Brananel know that they've got you. I've got this ring, and I can also do a thing where I can like check in to see like how you're doing. Is that okay to do, or would you rather contact us if needed?
How do you want to phrase that to him?
Okay. Once I'm not here, if I needed to message you, I've got this. We were given these rings. We can send messages. Is that something you are? I know some people can block them, and just wanted to ask. Seem polite.
Kind of like as if taking a moment to like pull himself from wherever his thoughts were. Like his eyes, like kind of like focus those kind of sparkles. Again, like light coming up from underneath water. And he kind of looks back at you and says, "I would be ill-advised if you were to attempt to make contact." And he kind of like does that kind of hand-waving, like echoey energy again. It's taken me some time to regain functionality, danger to even myself. However, and then basically just goes to like whatever surface is nearest him, just like pulls off a piece of like the black metal, Just like forms it into a ring. Is it to you?
Okay.
This will help channel that. Simply use this.
Myr'ra just looks like that's the coolest thing I've ever seen happen. And I've seen some quite cool things. No wonder these guys were the coolest.
Yeah.
Yeah, she'll put the ring on. I vanish.
There's just a giant fiery eye staring at you. I see you, Myr'ra Pentergast.
No.
Oh no, the franchise lawyers. So yeah. No, when you put it on, there is like a rush of energy. It goes through like a proper like ooh, like shiver. And it is all like it's not quite the same as the ring you've got, but you know that like if you channel your mind into this, that it will communicate to him.
Cool.
You don't know if it's limited in any way. You know nothing other than just that. That vibe is what, like, you know, it definitely feels like. I guess the rush of energy you get is almost reminiscent of when you sat chatting having tea. It's that weird. Once you go over the, am I in danger? Oh, we're having tea. This is surreal. Oh, he's that king. Oh, like it's.
Yeah, it's been quite an evening.
So like there is that almost sense of whatever comfort like Myr'ra found during that conversation is the sensation you get from wearing.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then obviously, unless you keep spamming the conversation button, just let me know how that's going. It's entirely up to you when you end this conversation. He has essentially stood up and is waiting to allow you to return to the timeline. But I don't mind if you guys have more questions. I'd rather he's asked everything he's wanted to before going, oh, we wish we had asked. It's why I wanted to come back to this character, because I thought, I know I ran through so much info last time, where I'm like, I have to dump all of this.
It was very late at night.
It was late, and it was so much info to dump so quickly with such a big revelation.
We'd also, been conspiracy theorying about Bran and Elle for quite a while by that point. I don't think I have anything like specific that would like make sense. I like that we've got two of the devil's names.
Yeah.
Gonna hold on to them. That's a flex we can use at some point.
Yeah. Especially the two you've spoke to. On like a more intimate level. Anyone else? Last calls? So, Sean, anything else you want in this moment?
Nope, I'm good.
Okay. Kalli? I know it's a bit like a shot in the dark, that question, but...
Sorry.
What's his favourite colour? No.
I might know the Great Dragon.
Yeah, true.
That's true. Yeah, just ask him his favourite colour. What's his favourite flower? No, not
self-raising.
Quantity of a swallow.
Alexander, anything you'd like of Bran and Elle? Less plot intrigue, please.
I was slightly curious just about like as we've said, like killed Farron. How does that affect? What does that like free the soul into the cycle, or is that like now a Farron soul, or is that like was that damage to them?
I think he said this the original time he was running through all the info, but without souls, they were left to darkness, so their bodies warped.
Okay.
He said something akin to that.
Yeah, because I think I asked why he wasn't, like, why he pulled them there instead of... Because obviously he has the power, snap his fingers and they'd be...
And it kind of makes sense why he was able to out the Theron, given the amount of power the Iron Root gave him to do this in the first place, and he still seems like charged with some of it. It's just probably how he's lasted so long out of it.
Do we have anything more? Is his chronology just very vague? He's been weakened for a bit.
You just don't really know. Like, you're going off what the Quilburn and Modesta Lara said. Really,
Mm.
he hasn't really said anything about it other than just come recently. But what does that mean to an elf?
Yeah. It took him time to
Yeah.
not.
And he's had outbursts.
Yeah. Sounds like there's amount of power probably not meant to be contained in
Not an immortal
one
being.
person.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
I might ask, just because I know it came up in the previous conversation, it definitely came up like I was of Helborn descent, and who was I a descendant of? Would I also then know Envy's name?
Hey,
Because I definitely said I
yeah,
was
like, so
of Envy's line.
so
Get more names.
brace yourselves.
Oh.
Euben.
Oh.
Yep. I can spell that if you want.
Yes, please. Thank you.
A-E apostrophe
Mhm.
U-B-E-N.
How interesting.
That's an interesting name.
Isn't it just an interesting
It's
name?
a very interesting name.
Yes.
Fascinating.
I know I
Glad
seem like a
Oh,
mad person with all
Euben.
these unrelated pieces of paper from different notebooks, but there is some kind of plan.
Does Falkwin's celestial insight tell him what Al means?
I think I did have that written somewhere. So
And is
A means
Euben-
from and Al means of, I believe is what.
Okay.
Ooh.
And who's Euben?
Who Euben?
Hmm.
Fascinating.
Yeah. So, we have
I'd like
Envy's
to meet
name.
Envy.
I have Envy's name.
Mm.
Lockhart, did you formulate a question you'd wanted out of the timeline, or were you happy as is? Or what was the last thing I'm in talking about his timeline? Button like that, or
No, I think if he's not forthcoming, just wondering if it would relate into
I mean, to be fair, he has been sharing what he thought was relevant to the conversation, because mostly he just needs Myr'ra to understand that he's not a monster. Like, his plan is to save his people. That was his main goal in that conversation. Was, well, you've found your way here, and I'm up for chatting, so here's
I've not
it.
chatted to anyone in 900 years.
Yeah, and you've not immediately tried to attack me. Like, that's
Because I'm not a crow. Would have
Imagine
done.
you'd crow mirrored your way in there. Oh, that'd been so good. Yes. If that is the end of the questions, then Myr'ra returns to the party. Like, immediately goes, "Oh my god!"
Looks quite shell shocked.
Do you want to just bullet point everything you would share? Is there, or even better, is there anything you wouldn't
I-
share? It's probably the
I
easiest.
don't think so. I think she probably would share. Again, these are her people. She trusts them. She's also volunteered them to help.
Yeah.
So it seems polite to tell them.
Yes.
Does she come back at the right time, or is there any?
No.
Yes.
There's no wibbly wobbly time shenanigans. That was just me flashing back to before
Yeah.
they had returned, which was
Mhm.
very close to when you'd left.
Yeah, I think it's gonna be the next
I think I
more.
said-
It wasn't.
Was it 8
Yeah.
hours? I think I said you were away for. I
Yeah.
think you were gone for 8 hours, and then you came back, and then everyone was like, "Let's go and chat to Pride," because Pride actually promised us answers. We went and had a chat in
Yes.
Pride's office about
Yeah.
their entire reasoning for their bullshit, and then it kind of made sense.
Yeah. So true. Oh, Pride.
Mm.
Oh, I'd forgotten that bit. That's sad now.
Yeah,
Aw.
poor Aandros and their choice of literally. I remember Riven's comment being, "You could have literally picked anyone that wasn't as high profile." I was like, "Ew," was their reply.
Why would I be a poor person?
Yeah,
I'm Pride.
so true. But yes, so 2 weeks of getting to know Sarah.
We make a new friend.
Yeah, like getting to know Sarah, running around the city. What would you like to do now that you are like the city's kind of back to some kind of not everybody's recovered from that, obviously. There's still a lot of trauma out there about the massive Fern attack, and a lot of safeguarding has been now put in place against trying to refortify things that the Farron managed to get in here effortlessly. Like to fix that, like we didn't realize we had that level of enemy on this continent. Like, and this is after they let the fucking Solar Emperor and Lunar Empress just sail in.
This continent.
Yes, it's this continent. I was very careful with my word choices, yes. The Rakashans are not part of the Table of the Five Blades, even if they did mention there were 2 empty seats.
Cheeky.
So cheeky. I love Sun. He's like one of my favourite characters just because of he's one of those disruptive characters.
Mm-hmm.
But yes, so plot points you have out there, right? So you have had that word back from the Arcanatrix. Okay, got finding another sword person for Vermi. You've got renaming Pridefall. You've got
the moon.
The moon. You've got the moon. You've got what was the other thing that was more than that? So there was following up in
Chiral. Finding
immediate.
help for Chiral.
Yep. So finding help for Chiral as well.
Yeah.
That weirdly I thought I'd said that, but obviously that was the thing I was trying to word in my head. Stupid Fae powers. Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, helping Chiral.
My grandma sent me a letter.
Yes. Yep. Your grandmama. And also acquiring safe travel to Caldera. Specifically Sin. She lives. Per echelons. So we've got there. So we have Syrah Bronspark also sent a message separately, specifically for Falkwin, just been like, when you're free, I would love you to help me with a project, which had undertones of you.
Yeah, I certainly do owe her. That's a thing. Yeah.
But to be very flippant about it, right? Very playfully written in the way that the Bronsparks write everything. I think we said at one point, depending on what season it is, depends on where the emphasis on certain words are. So, yeah. Got a lot of options, quite frankly. Does anyone have any immediate places they'd like to start? Falkwin, share your thoughts with the class.
The moon. Let's go to the moon. No, that's not serious. I do. Yes, but no. But yes, yes. That's all.
Okay. No more thoughts. Just the moon had to be mentioned again.
What?
Also,
why do we want to go to the moon?
So
It's haunted.
Victor's bullshit.
It's the gold leaves. That's where they went.
Called Master Amblin,
Mm-hmm.
who claimed he vanished, he disappeared. Then he claimed he'd been to the moon when he came back. And briefly after he came back, he disappeared again.
Okay.
We think he's on the moon. And the moon's sort of linked to the Fae.
Yeah.
So we were a bit like, ooh, could be suspicious. And we think this man's just wandered off. But he was very convincing that we have not met him. We met his apprentice.
Yeah, we
met his
met him.
apprentice once. We didn't know this was a first arc. Because I keep asking questions about the moon because Victor's given me trauma about it.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
Stressed about moons.
Gotta check. What's the moon doing?
Yep.
All time.
Yep.
So true.
Always check on the moon.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But also, if Crow Myr'ra ends up on the moon, it's just kind of explode.
Am I just a crow all the time? Could be. We should find out.
I also kind of want to get some Gold Leaf Inquisition going.
Yeah.
And I could be convinced that they might be on the moon as well.
Okay.
That could be the solution to all our problems.
So everyone's chilling on the moon. Yeah.
So it's the timeout zone. I would maybe throw out just with anything elf related. We should probably wait till Nori's here because Nori's got feelings about the elves.
I mean, to be fair, most of those feelings are aimed at the Bronzebark
Yes.
because he's half Bronzebark. Right. But yeah, mostly his feelings are to do with circumstances in which his parents are no longer. Yeah.
Mhm.
Again, that's definitely Nori's exploration. You could easily pursue Goldleaf stuff without crossing over too much of that because the only Bronzebark you've really got on your radar really is Myr'ra.
And she's hopefully not.
And we
I mean,
like
yeah.
Sierra.
Yeah.
Fingers crossed.
Sierra
She-
is Falkwin's mentor. Or
And is she?
Kalli.
She's the one who helped us break into the Arcana trip and
Yes.
steal a bunch of shit.
We spent some favors to do that.
And then we talked to a sword.
It's like it screamed at you guys.
Yeah.
But I think if we've been invited to the Arcanatrix, it's
Yeah.
probably something we...
I'd quite like to go and find out more about these soul gems.
So that was something else. When the Rakashans turned up to the city with their amazing boat and their big Prince Ali style celebration, everyone's like, "Oh, it's not an invading ship. It's actually like this, like the Cat Emperor."
Cabaret.
Yeah, the Cat Beret, and they handed out thousands of gemstones to just dumped them in front of where their big palanquin was carried by many enslaved Saurian lizard folk. Because of course, why not show off your wealth? So yeah, and they proclaimed in the city for all people of Cascade, Cascade being the world. He basically invited himself to the Grand Council meeting, said it was to welcome the new, even though in theory it would have taken him long to sail over. But then the party handed a bunch of these gems into the Arcanatrix, and also got Sloth to have a look at one, and it seemed like they contained souls. Give off massive residual magic signatures. Can be used to essentially fuel magic spells and such. There's a good chance that's what attracted the Farron, given there are thousands of these things in the city. It's not guaranteed all of them were handed in. So the party had two, but then ended up giving both through various reasons to Modest Delara, who broke them and released the souls so they could go back to the cycle. Which I'd say is in the positive column on the conspiracy board.
Now. And whose soul's there?
So, off to the Arcanatrix then? Is that the plan? Off to see the
I think we'd
wizards?
be churlish not to.
Wonderful wizards of Cascade City. Yeah. Are we checking in with Myr'ra, or are we patching Myr'ra and checking in on the gems first?
I guess we head to the gems, and if we meet Sierra on the way, it would only be polite. But I guess I can make a specific point of heading by her place after we talk to Gem Person.
Yeah. So, yous all make your way out of, because I'm just assuming you have stayed at the Grand Council chamber. It's like Twilis has left that suite open for you guys, and then Sarah would have had her own suite. It's weird because I'm saying Sierra and Sarah. So Ignysera has had her own suite assigned to her because obviously Quilburn arranged that. But you could easily just have hung out with them in their big ambassadorial suite in the kind of big Grand Council chamber in the centre of the city. So you have your own safe space you can return to, essentially private, because these are also well connected. But yes, you descend out of the Grand Council chamber, head off through the city. Again, still seeing the 2 weeks on aftermath of people just trying to get on with stuff. Basically, like shops have opened, but like if they had some kind of like shuttering of some kind, like maybe those are always closed now instead of People are still tentative. But, some people are just trying to get on with life, People that would have, like, shops that might have required, like, screaming at people to come in a pleasant way. But those people are still at it because money's money. Time is money. Just make your way through that district and get to the big Arcanatrix building, which is where all the magic's happening. Yeah, you head in. Guess Falkwin and Myr'ra, you sign in. It's essentially like a big sign in, and when the desk clerk notices Falkwin sign in details, say, "Oh, I was told to hand this to you if you showed up," and it's clearly a letter from Sarah, basically saying, "Come see me. Favor. ..
Well,
Which is essentially just exactly the same letter as you got sent, in the Grand Council chamber. It's just this is another one clearly being like exact same details. Just if that other one hadn't got to you, basically this is because she assumed you'd have came back.
mm,
But obviously, she's also probably been busy in the last 2 weeks trying to fix everything. It's the whole Arcanatrix, and good old Grandmaster Gamble has been out doing everything he possibly can to make sure the city's prepared for that again. Because, oh god, that was a lot. So, you get the room number and floor number and stuff, and off you go. So wander down. And you get to the kind of, again, that kind of similar, same kind of warehousey kind of room we went to previously. And lying asleep in a chair with his feet on the desk is a very familiar face with chalk dust in his beard. On his nose, just a little butterfly, just slowly swings. And kind of in time with his breathing. And it's obviously Master Duell, KO'd. Chair. You have opened the door and walked in, and you have knocked and stuff, but no. This seems to be sleep.
I might whisper to Sarah and just say, "We've met him before. He's often quite confused. He thought we were here for parents' evening last time. He's maybe not the greatest ambassador for people's opinions of the Arcanatrix, now I think about it. But he's very kind."
Well, if you think highly of him, then so will I.
Myr'ra looks concerned about I didn't mean to interrupt. Okay, sure. And then she'll try and wake him up.
What height is Ignysera, by the way?
She's she's pretty tall, over 6 foot, 6'1" maybe.
I figured, yeah, quite imposing, demeanor.
Yeah.
I just like the idea of the conversation with Myr'ra turn around and look a bit.
Yeah.
We're very used to tall buff ladies. Glad to see our quota remained. Yes, you go over and as your hand goes over to wake him up, butterfly just hops over. Almost as if to stop you, right? Just that very movement.
I hold it. We do need to talk to him.
It kind of 180s there, and then flies back and lands on his nose again. Kind of just sniffles and goes, "Ah, Philip, what?" And sits up and the butterfly flies and lands on his shoulder. Kind of looks, goes, "Ah, lunch order already?"
Hi, Master Dwell. It's me again.
Hello,
we were told you had. She thinks about his joke that he makes every year in his first lecture and breathes deeply through her nose.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Philip and I were just deciding that we think we'll have the sandwiches for lunch today.
They're always good sandwiches.
Yes.
Ooh,
no lettuce for Philip.
Of course. You had information about the gems?
Did I? And what did I do with that?
You sent us. I'm going to pull the message out.
He takes it and then turns it the right way round and looks at it and goes,
Mm.
"Oh, I suppose I did. Yes. Tricky subject. Not my area of expertise. colleague of mine, possibly dead, like sits that down and like opens the drawer and like rummages through some scrolls and just like sticking them out, and then like the butterfly like flaps off and just lands on one and goes, ah yes, quite right, Philip. And then like picks that one up and opens it and goes, yes, quite a curiosity with them. We all thought they were housing individual souls. Yes, that's what the like looks to the butterfly suspiciously. I'm getting to that. So there's only maybe a dozen or so souls within them, and yet they seem faceted. So, and then like it goes over to like the obviously big warehouse shelves, it's like just slowly cascading like chalk dust coming off of it. Goes over and like pulls out like one kind of like basket full of them. So that kind of glow comes from it, and just picks up and goes, "These could be the same soul."
Oh. Myr'ra will just look a bit like, okay, that's okay.
You see, Philip, that's the face I made.
Myr'ra will look at
So-
Falkwin, because Falkwin's magic technology expert.
So someone has somehow taken souls, split them into pieces, and then put those pieces back together with pieces of other souls to make these gems.
No, he didn't say that. But if let's just say Falkwin's saying that out loud, because that gives me a reason for him to reply. Okay.
Sure.
So if Falkwin's saying that out loud to the room, Duel says, "No, not quite. It is very different, in fact. Nothing like that at all. As I said, dozen or so unique souls have been reflected between these crystals. I don't even know if the original soul is even here." Waves to like the mountain of shelves. It could be reflected from somewhere else.
So they're not fragmented, but they're not exactly copies either.
More like another window into the same house.
So say if someone destroyed one of the gems,
The
that
soul
wouldn't
would be-
necessarily release the soul,
It would,
because it's in others.
and you just like gesture like, there's no soul really in there, kind of, but there is energy from it. It's very complicated, Philip. I'm trying to get it explained. Like, well, would you like to do a better job than me? He just waits and stares at the butterfly on his shoulder, like quite angrily. He goes, "That's what I thought." And he says, "The energy is residual, but not original."
Almost like they're showing us something that's not here.
Yes, exactly. But these still can access the energies. Can still get in the house through the window.
Oh. Okay. Well, I suppose it's good that they aren't thousands and thousands of souls. I look at the party and like, yeah, is that positive? It still seems bad.
And then Duel says, "The confusing thing about this is why someone would do that. Because if there was negative feedback through them, I can only imagine that would also be refracted."
Could it be that it like raises the energy signature?
Oh, entirely. This entire room. Just like waves his hands up in there like that answered your question.
Yeah.
It's a mirage. These crystals, you can make one soul seem like 1,000.
I love that you're just so on the gold leaf. Like, those fucking gold leaf.
I said nothing of the sort. This is
Sorry,
lies
I'm
and
reading between the
slander.
lines that just say Magna. No, sorry, Modesta Lara.
Well, this, yeah, definitely feels intentional that they were all brought here.
Can I ask, did Falkwin say like a mirage as well? Because he could reply to that.
Yes, yeah, that is Falcon's word choice.
And he kind of replies kind of absent-mindedly, like, yes, lovely place.
Man befuddles me.
And himself.
I love him.
Has he been to the moon?
You can ask him.
I could believe it at this point.
We can ask, have you heard from Master Amblin lately? Maybe they were friends.
I mean, you can ask him that if you want, yeah? Do you want to? Yeah?
Yep.
He goes, yes, young Amblin. How is he these days? He would have known all about these crystals. This was more his thing.
Oh. We just missed him. He was in Loudon Hall.
Still there? Yes. Last he wrote me he was burdened with an apprentice.
Fascinating. Hmm.
And you just know that, like, Halcyon has been his apprentice for, like, at least, like, 10 years.
Mm-hmm.
So he's probably not heard from him in, give or take, 10 years.
Yeah.
Which is probably normal for old academic people like this.
Yeah. Good at crystals.
What was the name of the Cashan Empress?
The Lunar Empress Moon.
Ooh. And the Silverthorn Elf is known as the man who conquered the moon.
Yes.
All signs are pointing at the moon.
Every sign. I need to change my writing style if everything points to.
It's all about the moon.
Damn it! We'll get back to cadence and we'll go to that fucking moon. Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Anything else you want to ask Master Do-Well? He certainly tries to. I love how terrible that is. I actually just adore how terrible that is. It's so good.
No, I think Myr'ra's probably like had many lectures with this man. It's a point quite quickly where she's like, I can't deal with it anymore. This is like the stereotype we're fighting back against.
The annoying thing as well is I think like with any lectures you've been through to do well, none of it makes sense at the time and you feel like you leave like knowing less, but then like a couple of days later you wake up and go, oh no, I get exactly what he was talking about now. What?
Yeah.
Why couldn't you have just said
and
it
we've
like
all,
this?
Yeah. There's like a running bet about who Philip actually is.
Yeah. Yep. Oh dear. Good old Philip. Any other questions for Master Do-Well from anyone?
I guess Lockhart might. And would you say to take less in know-how or energy perhaps to juice facets of just a dozen odd souls, or trying to juice this from many thousands of souls? Which would you say might be easier?
Kind of like thinks about that and like runs his hand through his, just putting more chalk in it. Don't think I'd say any of that was easy. Quite tricky, actually. Making effectively a prison for a soul is quite abhorrent. Kind of like shakes his head a bit, like obviously a nice cloud of dust. I don't even imagine if there would be a reason to preserve a soul. Imagine many of the greats would have liked to have lived longer than they were due, but the grand cycle will have its way.
But if you were to do it for 1,000, would choosing 12, a dozen or so, be more, and splitting or multifaceted be more difficult?
Oh yes, exponentially more difficult. You would be taking one thing that you shouldn't do and doing it lots of times in ways I don't understand.
Instead of just taking 1,000 individuals and putting...
Much easier, I imagine. Yes,
Okay.
Philip.
Interesting.
And there's no way of telling whose souls these could be. These individuals.
That's for the gods to know. Quite right, Philip.
But as you say, the original soul is likely not.
Well,
Could be anywhere.
like he's still holding these two, like, gemstones, and he's like, I don't think it's these ones.
Would there be any way of telling if those two are from the same soul?
Yes, that's why we have in the shelves. You can see like the shelves now are like somewhere between 12 and 50. There's no real like. It's not like the 12, and it's those 12 people I named earlier. There's nothing like that. It is just they're guessing from the numbers that were handed in. Like they seem to resonate, and there's about 12 or 15 that seem to resonate similarly enough that they've categorized them that way, and they're not color coded. Remember before they were all color coded? That seemed to have nothing to do with it. It just so happens he's holding two green ones or whatever time. Puts them back in the basket and puts the basket in. And gestures to the entire shelf. Because these ones all seem similar enough. You can tell that some shelves have more than others. But that also could just be because of who handed in what. And who's to say they gave you all they had? As in the black cushions in the first place.
Mm-hmm.
And do you say they contain a similar amount of...
He kind of like pulls that like basket back out and looks a bit worried and tries to like pick out the two he just put back in. He's obviously not quite sure. And like Philip lands on one, he goes, ah yes, this one, and Philip lands on another. This one. Yes. Very almost identical. Except I think I look better in this one.
And those are like different souls.
They're from the same basket, so they'd be assumedly if it was a reflection of the same soul. Yeah.
And from the... Would that be about the same amount as a different... the other baskets, the other soul?
Not held them all, but seemingly. Yes, I pulled that face also.
Yep. Myr'ra just looks like I'm at the end of my...
He holds out chalk for you, Alexander. He holds out chalk for
Yeah, Alexander takes it.
Yeah. I just started like holding
I don't think Lockhart's not got a beard. But yes, it's quite a conundrum. So it would seem to have made more sense initially when we thought it was each individual housing.
Oh, so?
Well, as you say, it might have seemed from a layman's perspective simpler, easier. The idea of...
Not everything that's simple is easier.
Not everything, but usually the fewer the steps.
It's like the most coherent he has ever sounded, by the way.
But it's less a case of a housing or a prison, or perhaps a case of sharing, dividing the attention, the connection of something.
At this stage, I would like, if it's okay by everyone else, to vignette into an internal conversation with Aluben.
Funnily, you should say that. I was about to have Aluben have a chat with you.
Aha!
Yes.
Oh.
How well timed of you. How would you like to initiate that conversation?
With the question, Aluben,
Falkwin.
if there were to be more of these windows into your soul, would you know? Is this gem that I have one such window, or is it something different?
My circumstances are rather this. I can tell you that much. Brief time, but time enough to assert that gemstone in my possession. I have obviously not studied all of them, but I don't think I have to know that it's different. And I am thankful given this light.
Indeed. It seems as though
Fortunately,
these
you
souls
cannot
are in a
replace me,
different
Falkwin.
position. Indeed.
You can tell
It
there's a bit of
seems that,
levity to her voice there. She's kind of like being like, you're
yeah,
stuck
yeah.
with me.
It seems as though these souls are not in as happy a place as you are.
That would be hard to ascertain until we can find the original. If indeed that can be found among this avalanche.
Penny in a haystack. That's definitely the correct metaphor.
I'm sure it
Not
is.
mixing anything.
I think perhaps we should seek these answers closer to the source. Attain a few of these from different elves, them as guiding components, try and to source. These are not skills I have,
Perhaps.
but I imagine someone in the city must be able to spell.
Hmm.
Do not believe this city. Boats. Well, she says, how are you with boats? Unless it's a boat to the moon.
No, no. You believe the originals are on insert name of continent not
Yep.
here?
Felix.
Felix. You believe the originals are on Felix?
I do not imagine this continent would care to showcase this as our cushion.
Mm.
They seemed very
They
eager
did
for us to see this.
They did bring these to us.
Perhaps they simply wanted rid of them.
Who could this be, I wonder?
Someone with a celestial tongue. I do not know that could interact with the soul so delicately.
Hmm.
But this old fool, I imagine, has dried up, so we should move on. She has no time for duel at all.
Mm-hmm. Well, did we ever cast anyone as Aliben?
No, we didn't.
Because she has
Please carry on if you've got thoughts, because there is
she has
someone
a
in
face
mind.
to
There was someone in mind, but I never ever said them. Who is it you see them as?
I don't have a face in mind for
I think I
Aliben.
never cast them because you never saw them. Like until
Yeah.
like the end of the last arc. I always had someone in mind because of the voice I hear in my head when Elven speaks.
Mm-hmm.
So you say there was nobody specific in mind, or there is?
There is not. There is. So we're going to see Sira again. I do have someone in mind for Sira.
Okay.
But
Well, I'm happy to tell you that the person I see in my head is Claudia Black, or Elven.
Googling.
Yep, Claudia Black. Just imagine her with obviously she has an amazingly gravelly voice as well. She was in Farscape as Erin Soon.
Oh yeah.
She was one of the admirals in Mass Effect. For the I can't think of their bloody names now. The Quarians, that's it. She was a Quarian admiral. Mass Effect. She was in the Nevers as well at the end of that. She was in Stargate from season 8 onwards, as well as Vala Maldoran. Quite a good career, to be honest. Pitch Black. So yeah, that's who I imagine because her voice is amazing. And then just, again, the way she carries herself, but again, imagine it's now elven year, blonde hair. But again, if you come up with somebody you prefer, it's not an issue. It's just who I seen. Excuse me. So, yeah. Anything else you want to ask, Elu? Or even Master Duel? Anyone?
I think that's all for now. I feel like there's been a recurring theme of something happens, we think, oh, is this like Caliban? We ask Caliban, no, I am special.
What's that? Alabin doesn't want to be reduced. Are you this thing that we can understand? Obviously not.
Yeah.
Okay, so as you are leaving, Jarella says, "Give my regards to Master Amblin."
We will do. Enjoy your sandwiches.
Ah, yes. Thank you. Seems to chatting to Philip. Put some scrolls away. Yep.
I'll just turn to Myr'ra and be like, should he not have someone looking after him?
Philip's looking after him.
The butterfly.
Yes. We all questioned it.
Right. Okay.
Philip insisted.
We've tried. No one lasts longer than a day.
Only Philip endures.
Oh, Philip.
Yep.
We all feel sympathy for Philip.
Yeah. So good. I love that you guys liked Duel that much that I decided to keep him relevant. It's so good.
It's just big. It's the fuzzy bear.
Yep.
The man who lived in my finger hired the crew.
It so is. Yes. So, you head off to Sierra Bronzebark's office. Who,
Yes.
as you get into that particular corridor and floor, you can see that they're already trying to juggle their lunch tray and getting into their room again, for their office, and they spot you, and they go, Falkwin, and their sandwich falls out of their mouth onto their plate. Can half balance that while realizing everything's just shifted suddenly, but they seem to do it reasonably well. Say it's maybe the benefit of their elven grace. 1 second, and then they do that coin trick with the key, and then try and put it in the lock and open the door and go, as if relief that not everything's going to collapse. And in the head, set it down, goes, that was a close one. Got my letter then?
I did. It's good to see you again, Sarah.
Yes, and you and your friends. Hello, everyone again. And new person. Kind of delicately to Sarah. So, did Master Duel tell you the news?
News?
The soul gem crystals.
Oh, well, yes. He told us that they seem to be all reflections of a small number of souls.
Yeah, or something like that. It's not really clear yet. We're still trying to look into what that really means. He seems pretty convinced though, but he also seems like he thinks someone's going to turn up and answer all those questions for him. Old colleague. But that's unlikely.
An old colleague? Would that be a Master Amblin?
Yeah, do you know him?
That's uncanny. We mentioned Master Amblin to Master Duel just now. He didn't mention him to us.
It's in his report
had-
about the crystals.
Oh. He didn't mention.
He probably doesn't remember.
What? I personally haven't met this Master Amblin, but my friends here have.
We
Not
met
quite.
his apprentice.
She kind of just takes like one of those kind of yep kind of moments and goes, yes. I don't envy those who have to study out fence to lone wilds. The Arcanatrix is definitely the best place to earn your wand, as it were.
At this stage, I think it would be worth mentioning, out of character, I see Sierra as being played by Sandra Oh,
Yes, that's
Who-
perfect. I love that.
Ooh,
who
yes.
played Christina in Grey's Anatomy and Eve in Killing Eve.
Yes, so fucking good in Killing You. So good. She also voices the Mum as well. It's very good. Yes, that is canon now. So Sandra Oh, Sierra. But yes, she goes, oh, you're familiar with his apprentice? I think he's been quick study. He's been an apprentice for 10 years. Came back
Yeah.
to sit his test or present any of worth to get his wizardry. So strange. Hasn't turned him for a replacement yet, given that all the towns are meant to have someone representing them from the Arcanatrix. Mr. Hamlin has been quite his name and off.
Myr'ra looks like she should maybe try and defend. There's quite a lot going on in Loudon Hall, so
Oh really?
maybe.
Says that like with a quirk of her head as she's like stuffing a sandwich into her mouth.
Yeah, well, birthplace of the previous queen.
He just like nods.
Myr'ra will look at Lockhart and just in her head think, the mayor was a vampire.
Yes, a lot of ceremonial complications. How to use the estate, how to plan out all the celebrations for the.
The guard all being replaced by one person.
Yes, it's not a surprise that some things get a little bit waylaid in such a town.
Seems highly irresponsible. Just like wiping away bits of sandwich from her mouth.
Oh, you find the exigencies of a nation compared to that of a city-state very, very different. We find our ways to keep these things going, but there's only so much that we need to worry about a lot of these smaller townships. The local representatives had things quite sewn up, I think.
But they lost their archmage.
And I don't think they were that worse off for it.
She kind of gives you a look as if, I know what you're saying. Like, well, old friend of Master Duwell, I think really does sum that up, doesn't it? Not that I'm criticizing Master Duwell, very respected in his field of study. However, the company he keeps is questionable. Just looks off into the middle distance, which she has spent a day with Master Duwell. Yeah. Probably every day that signs up to the Arcanatrix probably has to do a day. Just to see if anyone other than Philip can handle it. This is when you find out it's Philip that bullies them away.
Probably.
She goes, yes. Anyway. Sandwich, anyone? She like holds up her plate.
What flavour?
She kind of looks and goes, I don't know, we didn't. Possibly bird.
Okay.
And then
Poor student. take what you can get.
Aren't you like third in line from a noble family?
Estranged.
Oh, poor student. Damn this decadence. But yes, so she like sits the plate by down, goes, so I've been working on an equation that was puzzling me for my thesis. I was hoping to do some legwork for me, because we don't have the agents we used to have in our storehouse, Falkwin.
I wouldn't know anything about that.
Nor I. However, there is. I don't expect this to be quick, but I don't want to travel, and so
That sounds fair.
I'm just going to make you do it. It seems like you've got lots of strong friends that could help.
Indeed.
Just
So
leave
what do you need precisely?
So I need reagents, because I think I've cracked Abredak.
Falkwin probably looks enlightened at
Yes.
that.
I can spell that
I
for
don't
you,
feel
Hannah, if you
enlightened.
want as well.
Thank you.
AB apostrophe RADAC
Mhm.
equation.
Abracadabra.
The Abredak equation. And for Falkwin's benefit, because he would probably know it, knowing Syrah as well, kind of being mentored by her, given that this is like her main focus has been this. It's a self-contained energy spell that allows things to float. I love that your little bubble
That's
has popped
neat.
up there, Hannah, with the little thumbs up.
Oh, it's
It's good. But effectively it means you could make something float without needing to constantly supply it with like energy.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
It's obviously
That's
one
really
of those
cool.
holy grail levels of like,
Mhm.
thesis that people are like, well, if I can do anything that moves that forward, I have made my name for myself in the the annals of the
So,
Arcadians.
in your usual style, you have come up with something that exists elsewhere. This was one of the grand puzzles of magic in Irregular at Magic High School.
What? This is a reference
which
to
is
my old game.
oh, okay.
Yeah.
Well, in the light novel series / anime, The Irregular at Magic High School,
Okay.
one of the sort of grand puzzles of magic is how to make spells that kind of
Like self-perpetuate.
go on and
It's a
can
perpetual energy.
kind of
Okay.
like
So Ricera Abradicus was an NPC from a previous game that these two have played in, and
aha.
his first ever achievement as a wizard was making a small pebble float, and it still floated many years later, and that
Hmm.
got him a place in like the Magic Wizard City, just for that, because it was so elegant, even though it was just a pebble.
And do you know what then he researched? He researched the moons.
Yeah, I forgot some of that there.
And then I wiped his brain.
And you broke his brain.
I did.
It wasn't deliberate.
It's how many years later I still feel guilty.
So many years later. But yes, this is just a wee Easter egg of a link, because obviously I had some people from my old game. The Abredak equation. But who wouldn't want a cool floating rock forever? Right? Yeah. So yeah, she needs some reagents to help. So obviously, while your brain processes the Abredak equation, you're like, oh, that's one of those things that people go, yeah, I'm gonna go punch Santa, but they don't mean like at the mall, right? They just mean they're gonna see like a and then. But yes, you do you have any reaction for her after she mentions the Abredak?
These are not going to be reagents that you would come by in the market, are they?
No, otherwise, why would I bother you with this? She like smirks and then like, takes a drink of whatever like hot kind of drink liquid thing she's got. Smells weirdly of cinnamon. So
Okay.
she slurps at that and she goes, okay, so I got all the basic things that I need, and I still need to head up to the span to get a couple of things, which is why I'm not going to run around it. However, I need you to go to the short mountains, because I need feathers from an Avaraptor bird. These are very
Do
big,
I-
scary birds, by the way. These are birds
Okay.
that could carry Riven off easily.
Oh, good.
Yep. And they live in the mountains of, like, the short mountain range.
The short mountains are
The
near
A's.
where KT
Potentially
is.
near, well, they're near Voros.
Uh,
And realistically, they're near this city because they're on the border of the city. Like, they're on the outskirts of the territory. And Chris is in the chat. So in the previous session, we had Punch Child. This session, poor Santa skin. Punch Child was way back in the second
Yeah,
half.
that was ages
That
ago.
was ages ago. But yes. So you can tell why she does not want to go get these feathers. Because gonna go fight with a giant angry chicken. She doesn't want.
Did we ever talk about the chickenado? I feel like we did.
I don't recall that immediately, but it's not to say we didn't talk about it. But this, like, see the carriage that Hedera was traveling in before it got trashed? One of these birds could lift that and, like, smash it against rocks. They wouldn't necessarily be able to fly a long distance with it, but they could lift it and smack it into something. Big, scary bird. She needs several feathers from that. She then moves on.
Okay.
I need eggshells from King's best friend, which is a type of lizard. It's a very dangerous lizard.
The king's best friend.
That's like its colloquial. King's best friend. And eggshells from that. So many people trying to give me cheap viewers tonight. Please.
Where?
If we look at the
Where'd you
map, yep. If we look at the map, there is a particular location. Ew.
No.
Dun, dun, dun.
Oh my gosh.
Amazing.
Oh my
I
gosh.
might be able to reveal this location. I remember. Lives on.
Is it the moon?
Suspense.
Go. That.
Oh,
I'm on the.
Oh,
The world's
oh,
moving.
Yep, don't worry about that.
oh.
I'm gonna move that to the back. Ready for the super secret reveal?
Oh.
Dun, 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 dun.
Let me make sure this is actually selected what I wanted to select. What's it doing? It's everyone. So it's still grabbing the. Which is annoying. It's a token. It's not selecting it on. Can't be on that because otherwise you wouldn't see it. And the lighting layer, which is not on, because that just deals with dynamic lighting, and then the map layer, which is the thing that moves the big picture in the back, which I don't want to. Just have to move that entirely. There's a lot of. There you go.
What?
oh my god.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yes.
Dinosaur Island.
Yeah.
It's shaped like a little
Okay.
T-Rex.
Everything else is off.
Yeah.
We're going straight there.
Can you see why I decided when I made this map that I had to hide that? Because
Oh yeah, we'd have gone
otherwise-
there in Arc 1.
Yep.
I don't know
Benjamin.
But yes. Oh,
Oh, I look forward to the pocket raptors.
Oh,
There's just going to
no.
be swarms
Yeah.
of them. They're going to be about a foot tall. They're going to murder us.
so
Best.
the eggshells of the king's best friend lizard from Dinosaur Island. Yep. Like 3 or 4, like, eggs worth of eggshells is fine. About 5 feathers is fine as well. And then the thing that's super tricky to get out of all of these, which is like, well, good luck, and I think this is why most people have struggled with the Aberdac equation. I need the root and petals of a loon.
We know what one of them
You
is,
only
don't
get
we?
the moon.
Wait a minute, the moon again?
Everything comes back to the moon.
Honestly, gotta change my writings. Colloquially called a night bloom. What's that, Hannah?
KT had them. Sarithane was picking them in the garden.
Sarithane was tending to a plant that may or may not have been called a night bloom plant that was incredibly hard to maintain. Yes,
Yeah.
you're right. That was back in Arc 1. You're right.
That's why we were suspicious.
Should always be suspicious of me writing RP games.
Loudon Hall.
Who else is in Loudon Hall? Halcyon's in Loudon Hall.
Last place Master Amblin was seen.
Now, hopefully he got the other 2 ingredients first. And he went to get that one.
True.
We find him, we go to the moon,
Bug him.
get the items.
Okay. So, she explains, like, she's waiting on a botanics colleague to get back to her on a lunar bloom, but she's not expecting anything to come back about that because people think they're fictional. They're that rare. Not to the point, like, that's a very hyperbolic way of saying that. It's like, definitely they do exist. It's just it's tricky.
The KT is.
So yes, to tell you. Oh, she says generally dark, hot, or high seems to be where they're found.
Could also be in Sin then. Sin would maybe be another good
She does
place
stress
to look.
it doesn't need to be all of those,
Mm-hmm.
but obviously volcanic soil is probably best. Yeah, that's what she says. Covers that. And she gives you a look and goes, I know it's a lot, but so is the reagents you used. Like, not a lot of them are easy to come by. And someone had to go and get those. So, kind of seems fair that ever gets found out that say you stocked. Because
That does seem fair.
obviously, she's not going to say, you used a level 9 reagent. Do you know what I mean? She's not going to come out and say that because that's nonsense terminology for this. But it is the equivalent of, like, in a scale of 0 to 10 where the world's rated, used one of the most rarest things that Arcanatrix had to talk to a sword. So she's like, this means if it ever gets found out, it's probably not going to be that bad. Bad enough that you took it without permission, and I also said it was fine, but also you did replace it, so that's probably fine.
Well,
Yeah.
let's get on that.
And she kind of just puts the last sandwich in her, just looks at you, kind of blinks, like waiting on a response, other than let's get on that.
Yeah. It's like, yeah, I came into this expecting to needing to do some work. That would seem fair. we did use a very expensive ingredient. It makes sense that we should help restock. I should help restock.
I can get you passage on a boat to Felix, and from there I'm sure it was easy to get to Dinosaur Island.
Called Dinosaur Island.
Oh, I'm committing that I'm not renaming it something fancy. It's definitely just
No.
Dinosaur Island. 100%.
Oh, I've just noticed it's shaped like a dinosaur.
It's a
Oh,
dinosaur!
It's a T-Rex.
love it.
That's why I'm gutted Scott wasn't in the fourth arc, because my god, would it just be nothing else matters, everyone get on a boat now, I will paddle us to Dinosaur Island.
So,
Yep.
okay.
I'm down. Let's go.
Okay, so taking stock.
Yes. Good name for
There's-
the title.
There's the evil chicken in the short mountains. There's the rare flower in Loudon that Cerithane grows for fun. There's also Master Amblin's apprentice and possibly Master Amblin in Loudon who had this job before us, maybe, was researching the same idea. And then there's Dinosaur Island. And then there's some sort of lizard somewhere, right?
On
That's-
Dinosaur Island.
That's the dinosaur.
That's the one on
Yeah.
Dinosaur Island.
Yeah.
King's best friend.
Yes.
Well, the short mountains are next door.
And sorry, Thane was thinking about. Or he was thinking about being around Voros, so we might want to check in just to see if
He might have taken it with him.
And you know Voros
What do
is
we
dark at least.
Mm-hmm.
It's not hot or high, but it is dark.
Because that's why KT wanted to go.
Yes, Kate was like, oh, there's an opening in a place that's really, really overcast all the time. That sounds amazing.
In case we haven't filled Ignysera in, our friend KT is a vampire. Used to be the mayor of Loudon Hall. Lockhart,
Far
very
too long.
upset about that.
Yeah, he was mayor for far too long. But everybody liked him as the mayor, so yeah, he's played by Lawrence Wellenbone. Yep.
Out of character.
Okay.
If we don't go to Dinosaur Island first, we will get sidetracked by things, and then we will be sad. I vote for Dinosaur Island first.
Can I add to that at least? Okay.
Mhm.
It seems like you can tick off more things by going to Loudenhall or Voros, aka Short Mountains, quicker. However,
That is also true.
you don't need to go to Voros to get to the Short Mountains like cities. Obviously, there are ways from Cascade City, and then you travel obviously until you hit the mountains, and then you travel through the dwarf roads. So there are ways there, but obviously Voros is like the super sneaky path for the refugees. So yeah, that's the reason.
Mhm.
Obviously, there's a good chance KT's of Voros, and I doubt they would have left something as rare.
Just
and
yeah.
if we have to get a boat to Felix first,
Yeah,
there's
gonna
going to be
take a while.
shenanigans as soon as we get there as well.
Not if you know how to teleport directly to Dinosaur Island.
We just might-
Let's not risk growing third arms at this point. We've done a lot of teleporting.
Yeah, because we've also potentially got to figure out how to get safely to Sin.
So if we teleport to Dinosaur Island, we really have to teleport back. Unless we
Would
can
you build a boat?
we could make a boat out of one of the dinosaurs. Perfect.
Such a good plan. We stay there till we're tier 6, and then at that point, maybe I can teleport.
I love that you were worried about the Stormwall Island until a second more interesting island appeared. For all of them were deceived, for in secret, another island was made.
The Stormwall Island does not seem to have a storm wall anymore.
No,
Is that just
that animation's hidden behind a map somewhere. I don't intend to fix
Uh-huh.
that because if I fix it, we'll lose Dinosaur Island.
Ah,
And we can't do that.
Cannot lose Dinosaur
We've
Island.
only just got it. So
It's the
yes,
best present ever.
you are all welcome.
Oh.
So, yeah, I guess. What do you want to do? Obviously, have your player agency now. What do you think's the best first step as a group, and that you can sell Nori on? I don't think it'll be a hard sell.
Possibly going to the Short Mountains and Voros might give us, because we can maybe like retrofit whatever route the refugees are taking out to get us safely to Sin. Might be a route we
Well,
could go
arguably, if
down.
people are using it to get out of Cascade, not Cascade, sorry, Caldera, you could use it to get in.
Yeah.
Yep.
And then potentially we can get someone in Sin, possibly my grandmother, to teleport us to Dinosaur Island. I don't know if she has that power, but she might have friends.
Oh, it's so funny.
If we find Envy and we tell Envy that Pride did it teleported us better, then Envy might teleport us to Dinosaur Island.
I mean,
I think
Ben would, you know.
Oh, yes.
Yes.
I think
Yes, I
no
also want
matter.
Alabama to beat.
I think there's probably at least 3 different ways I can think of to get to Dinosaur Island. Each one of them involves lots of plot shenanigans. Like, it's not going to be a case of tomorrow we decide to go to Dinosaur Island, then we arrive. I think that's going to be a whole thing.
Or we get on a boat. The boat will get shipwrecked. We will wash up on Dinosaur Island.
The
Sure.
the Rakshans had a boat that they might not be using that much at the moment. we don't know it left, but you know.
Oh, you do.
That's
I did
true, we
say
could
that at the
check.
start. That, like,
Oh.
I did say in that 2-week period, their boat left like during the Ferran stuff. You figured
Yeah.
you found that out.
But we just don't know for certain that the Emperor and Empress were on it.
Correct.
Oh.
We just know that Alexica Cridge lost them at some point because she was too busy like trying to save the citizens. Yep.
So it just might be sitting off the coast waiting for to pick them up. So
Shenanigans.
It's like a
Yeah.
big blanket over it. Big blue blanket
Mhm.
for it just to hide in the water.
Yeah. I guess Cascade is a port city, so we could rent a ship, I guess.
Well, she did say she's made she's got arrangements done to get you to Felix.
Mhm.
Like, so she's
Yeah,
not just
okay.
left you high and dry. Like, she's arranged that much for you.
Sure.
But it doesn't mean that you can then it's probably a ship going to Felix anyway
Yes.
that you have
And we then
passage
need
on.
to.
You can't just be like, can we take a wee detour several weeks this way to go on Dinosaur Island, please?
But I don't think just if we then go to Short first, then we're back in Cascade City. There will be ships going to Felix.
We'd
think-
probably want one going to the Orklands,
Mm.
looking at the geography. That takes us closest. I think then
I think-
hover us.
And
I think logically it makes sense to do Dinosaur Island last.
I know.
I know I know
true.
that's not
We
what
get to
everyone wants to hear.
anticipate it. That's fine.
where is
It'll be a
first, though?
reward at the end.
I think the Short Mountains are probably first.
Yeah, I think Shore Mountain.
So that would be
next door.
the closest and yet place you probably know the least of, really.
Right.
Other than Dinosaur Island being an unknown, right? It's an island full of dinosaurs. What more do you need to know? Obviously, you've met Margot Skygazer, the queen, so at least know the ruling authority there. Whether or not you'd ever get an audience with them, but they are there. Obviously, Riven had a lot of relations with them, so sadly don't have those with you. If you were found trespassing through dwarven territory, it's probably not a great look, especially if you're using refugee paths that are not public knowledge.
Could we ask for permission? We
Probably.
go to Margot first and say, me and Falkwin could probably try and flex Arcana tricks We're on a mission.
Can we run through your mountains and punch a giant bird and steal 5 of its
Yes.
feathers?
Yes. We want to go.
Yeah.
We want to do anything else.
This is where we find out it's like trying to eat a swan here, you know.
Yeah. Oh yeah, no,
Really
those
not
birds are
something I want to do.
sacred. Yeah.
Oh, that's funny. And then obviously there's just going to, I guess, either going to Loudon Hall and seeing if the plant's still in the garden, or trying to find those two. Which could be done
Try and message them.
with a ring. You could ring them.
I think mine is also bust, from what I remember.
You can assume that's fixed.
Okay.
Yeah. Any rings that run out of charge can have been recharged as part of the fact that you helped save a city.
Next.
So, any solid thoughts on this best? So I think you seem fairly certain the short mountains is the best course of action to start with. To go fight a giant bird. A couple of points of like admin as well. I don't think I mentioned it from Myr'ra, but none of these things were fatal, obviously, other than the root and the petals of the plant. So obviously it was eggshells and feathers. It wasn't to kill something to get it. And she did imply it doesn't matter what order you get them in, she just needs them all at once. But that does mean that you don't need to be there at a specific time for that travel. It's clearly just some kind of go to the docks and say, here's our papers. They'll just bill the Arcanatrix. It just means that you might not get on the first boat if they don't have space for you. But you can basically papers your way onto a ship that's going to Felix. And if you wanted to pick a specific port, you could aim for that. I don't have any preference other than take longer to get further south. Go high. Let's do a detour through the Rakishan Empire. But yes, that's a thing. So yes, anything else you've got on your list of stuff to do?
Well, I suppose if we're going in the direction of Voros, then in the direction of Loudenhall, there's an auspicious place that's vaguely on the way where a wounded fae might be that we might want to check up on. Is that trying to do too much?
It's up to you. What is too much? You just have a whole arc to fill. What's any of this got to do with the last of the summer elves?
I just feel like that's a favour that's going to be called in at any moment. Well, we could head to Voros and then see how, because again, if the refugee routes don't work, then maybe going down to Denk and using our "we helped save your country" card means they would maybe teleport us.
You have the ability to contact so many people. You've met so many important people. So you could message Margot with your rings because you met Margot. You could message Verme. You could message Loudon. Loudon knows you the least though out of those people, really.
Yeah,
you kind of are
instrumental. Yeah,
you're instrumental in a lot of our life, changing dramatically after the fact. Obviously, you could message KT or Suri Thane.
Just gonna be right back.
In other words, so you've got so many potential ways to not even have to leave where you currently are to get answers as well. So don't feel like you have to travel for weeks to get to Voros to find you have to go all the way back around to go through the Dwarven roads to get to the capital of the Skygazers. To be like, hi Margot, we're here on totally unrelated business. Can we talk in private about that thing we're not allowed to talk about publicly? Cool. Can we use the refugee rooms, please? But not now, but later when we want to sneak in to see my grand. Do you know what I mean? There's think I've.
Internet this time? Or...
Yeah, nope, that was me. It's me that time. Ping
Nope.
skyrocketed.
It was me as well.
It was
I think
everyone.
we all,
Yeah.
yeah.
It must just have been Discord then. That's ping skyrocketed. Okay. It's happening a couple of times, so we can to. So effectively I said you've got multiple options of how to pursue this. Don't all need to be around the continent. Come on, let's go. Okay. So, any other things on the agenda? Doesn't need to be. That is a lot.
It is. Yeah.
Yeah, because that's like a whole arc's worth of a quest to get stuff for the Abradak equation that had nothing to do with anything else you said came into this session, like, with on your plate.
Yeah.
So,
It sounds like there are connections to other things lingering.
would I do such a thing?
I would probably send a reply to my grandmother before we leave Cascade, whenever that is.
I have
Saying,
assuming
like,
that
"I'm
2 weeks
working
period
on it."
use of like
Yes.
Jesus spoke, because her reply
Yeah.
was she will make sure that arrangements are like safe, like you're not allowed to travel until it's safe. She obviously got wind of what happened
Yeah.
in Cascade City and was like,
Yeah.
let's, given that what you learned about the Farron roaming through Caldera,
Yeah.
she's like,
Which
yeah,
also
let's see
makes
how
sense.
things settle.
Yeah.
Like, she doesn't want to put you in a hard.
But we have kind of like an open invitation to
Yes,
Sin
yes.
once it's safe. Yeah.
100%, yep. It was questionable whether it was just you or you and your friends, but it wouldn't be hard for you to justify more people. It meant you got there safer because your grand.
Yes.
Yeah, there's more people to die on the way getting there, effectively. Something more caring than
No
that,
one's claiming.
but, yeah.
My gran is a nice person.
Definitely not your mum. Yep.
Oh.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
I do love that you made a deal with Chiral to try and help all this as well.
Mhm.
I loved it. Like,
Mhm.
I was saying to Kalli, the 2 people that also made deals with the Fae, can you guess who they were? Was it Scott and Hannah? It was Scott and Hannah.
Well, really, oh, shocking. So shocking.
Everyone else was so like, no, this seems bad. And me and Scott were like, yeah, but it's
Yeah, but-
fun.
Yeah. Okay, I think we
Yeah.
have our plan then, which is good. We'll obviously catch Alexander up when he returns on the see if he wants to add anything. But until then, why don't we wrap our session there? Aim the session. So what are we thinking for names? In fact, let's pause that because I think we're getting Alexander back now.
Yay.
Alexander, are you with us again? You're 2 spinning dots for me, but I think
Can you hear me?
I can hear you fine, yeah.
Yay.
So, the party will catch up on the rough plan. This session, because we're actually calling it. Feel free to update him. He can still hear you, so
Yeah, I am here. I'm trying.
Yeah, I think our plan is message various people, smooth the way, head to the short mountains, possibly via Voros, depending on how messaging goes.
Right, and I see some drawing on the board.
Is there? Oh, I must have missed that.
And
Ah, yes.
then yes, potentially go to Denkmark if needed.
I just did remind you that you have rings that can contact people. You have met a lot of famous people and a lot of powerful people. So you lost them entirely.
Oh.
Back.
Nope, it's back.
Yeah, I don't think we're getting the webcam now. That's fine.
So.
Yeah. It did well to last that long.
It was surprising.
But yeah, so essentially you have ways of contacting lots of important people without having to leave where you currently are. So there's no point running around the world wasting time, effectively.
And horses.
Horses. Right. And keep in mind we have no timeline for Brandon L's plan. Other than he just knows a lot of people are going to get upsetty. So it's fine. Totally fine. So,
Seems legit.
so names for this week. And again, just fire the suggestions in chat. We do have a last of the summer elf chat. Oh yeah, I don't think I actually fully displayed that either. So I'm mostly just left as there is a splash. The last. We know you're not. We know that's entirely your focus now is those bastard golems and their shenanigans.
Yeah. That was a good catch.
Hot, dark, and high. Yep. I mean, I also liked taking stock. Oh, that was quite funny.
Yeah.
That was pretty good.
I just want to write Dinosaur Island.
I mean, I'll pop it in if
When
you
we
want.
get to Dinosaur Island, what did you talk about?
Island of Regret.
Mm.
There was only one dinosaur.
We just take one step out of Cascade City and someone's like, oh yeah, I've got a King's Best Friend lizard egg right here. No, you don't need to go anywhere.
That's said after you have set sail on the boat. That's the lingering shot the camera has. Side quest unlocked, yep, also good. Any other suggestions? If not, please vote. I do feel like just gold leaf bastards would have been.
I was trying to think of something on that line.
Suggestion coming in. Very good. So our suggestions were the gold leaf quest begins. Hot, dark and high, taking stock, Dinosaur Island, side quests unlocked. Make like the golden leaf. So
I want to
painful.
think of some Jurassic Park reference, but maybe that's better for a future episode.
Well, for Sarah it could just be
Yeah.
clever girl, right? Given that if she does break the Abradak equation, she's gotta be pretty famous. And you by proxy,
True.
you might even get to be a wizard if you help with this.
Oh wow.
How exciting.
Wizard.
Yep. Yep. Enjoy the lofty ranks of the Arcanatrix and their amazing academic procedures. Oh, Philip. Okay, so there's 2 votes for taking stock. There were more of you. But there's 2 votes for that. Okay. Now I have to pick. Just gonna pick mine. So taking stock wins because it's less letters to type. Putting in the intro. But yeah. So wrap up chat time. I think the goals page should still be accessible by everyone. Use put in what you want to pursue. I'll neaten up the thing and go, but that's up to you guys to fill throughout the week. I will work on it. Comes to that. So you can obviously pop in what's fancy pursuing and what you don't fancy pursuing. Keep revising. Just label it in progress or updated goals as well. Or even just goal suggestions. You can pop in whatever your thoughts are regarding that. Have random thoughts throughout the week and you're like, oh wait, what about that? Pop it in, why not? People might have thoughts on it.
Is that how you spell Serithane?
Yes.
I thought it was like Serithane.
No, he's just Sir.
For some reason, every time someone says this name, I've not
'Cause
parsed it
it's
as
just been-
Sir Ethane.
Yeah, he's at night.
Yeah.
But that's fine, because if you've only ever heard it in one, Surrey Thin. Yeah.
Yeah, I keep hearing it as like City as the
And
first
also,
name.
my naming conventions don't make understanding like slightly more regular names easier.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. You only have to look through that bloody NPC list I posted to like, oh, those are names. So yes, have that. So I'm not going to go over goals that much, but we can safely assume we've covered none of the goals yet. We've mostly added to them.
It's not a list that ever gets shorter, is it?
Well, not really. Because ideally you'll find more things interesting about the world if I'm doing my job right. So,
yeah,
which is good. Beyond that though, wrap up chat time and XP time. So, not going to do XP for people turning up anymore. It's all on you guys. These are all big enough and ugly enough to earn your own XP. But you can still award people XP. Definitely still. So, do you want to do wrap up chat first and then the awarding XP? I think that's what we used to do. That's better because it's a good way of remembering what happened and then some XP. So, Alexander, do you want to start us off? Wrap up chat, please.
Yeah.
And thank you for Chris for the excellent episode.
Yes. It's good to sort of get everything to kind of take stock of a lot that happened. Plans are. Now, obviously, there's a lot of magic stuff, which for Lockheart mean a lot, but trying to sort of grasp some of the consequences of like just why, what, roughly a dozen. May not be something we know about yet, but it won't be a random.
It's all egg related. Is the moon an egg?
It is the extra one in the baker's dozen. And figure out the plan for what's coming. Good. Like to get a new team member on board. See how. So, I mean, we've been quite like, vaguely human-centric so far. So vaguely, but now see what.
Yeah, our first Draconic really as well. It's exciting. Not been that many NPCs that were Draconic. Technically, Verme's half dragon. King. It's really kind of it.
Yeah, looking forward to seeing you do with that. Forward to next time.
Yeah.
Right.
Thank you for playing. Falkwin.
Yeah, this was fun. It was good to. I mean, yeah, we took about the first 90 minutes to sort of catch up to where we ended, but I think that makes sense because we ended last arc in kind of a rushed we need sleep sort of manner.
And there was a lot of like new information given as well, so it doesn't feel like it was a zero sum.
Oh no, for sure. It did mean that I think Hannah and I had more to do, just by nature of the fact that our characters ended in the sort of most ripe positions at the end of last episode.
Some of that was by design because Kalli is playing catch up for 3 arcs now, and Alexander missed half of the last arc, if not more. Especially the last 2 sessions of that, which obviously a lot happened in.
Yeah.
So we could have done the Lost episode this week where it was just what they got up to.
Mhm. But yeah, no, I'm very excited for the future. It looks like Falkwin's got some character moments ahead of him. He's doing his own story stuff.
Falkwin fights a bird. Falkwin
Yeah,
steals some eggshells.
yeah, developing his professional relationship, I guess, with Sarah. Things are developing with Alu Ben. The Gold Leafs are going to be put on trial.
The Gold Leaf Trial is such a good session title as well, isn't it?
Yeah, I had the Gold Leaf Inquisition in my head.
Oh, you're the Inquisition for the Gold Leafs, right?
Yeah, exactly.
That's good. Good. I love your suspicion. Like,
Mhm.
is it the Gold
There's
Leafs
shit.
generally, or is it just Modesta Lara? Like,
Well, it depends on how representative of them she is. Maybe she actually is a tyrant, keeping them all in iron grip. Who knows?
I mean, we've got like a route into that via Alabin.
Mm-hmm. That's true. That's true. I should talk to her more about that. She didn't seem to like Modesta Lara very much either. Or
I
at the
mean,
very
how many
least seemed
people
very
does she
wary
seem
of
to
her.
like?
That's true.
If we take stock of Alabin's interactions with the world, she likes you.
Yeah, that's true. But she's never really been, oh hey, fellow kinsman. Yeah.
She did trust Modesta Lara with that soul gem, though.
There's different levels of trust, I feel.
We have a sneaky invader.
Yeah, we do.
Hello.
Living up to his character, sneaking
Yes.
in. He infiltrates.
Here the whole time. Chris. You with us?
But-
Possibly. Possibly. Hello.
But yeah, I'm detecting possibilities for Gold Leaf Inquisition and Moon shenanigans along this quest. So, yeah, I'm happy.
Yeah. To it as well. I love your suspicion of the gold leads. I think it's so interesting just based on like your experience with them versus like I guess other people in the world who just seem to be because that fussed about being so your views on her like could have been like more helpful, basically. Chose to omit stuff. Okay. Oh man, where to start? Yeah, so much to unpack from just this session alone. So I had to work myself through, never catch you guys back up on. So no, it's good. It's nice to see Falkwin back. Nice to get some Ben in there as well. Nice to get Myr'ra on board because I knew that was something I wanted to like bring back quite quickly. Was that because I thought it's a great way to send you on literally any quest I can imagine. Because it's like, well, you favor, so go do it. It's fun. So I got to reveal Dinosaur Island, which is the most exciting thing ever.
Have you seen Dinosaur Island, Chris?
Yeah, Chris. Is there audio working?
He said he's not going to mic.
Okay, that's fine. But yes, so if you log into Roll20 there, so you'll see the super secret DLC zone build at last.
It'll be on the stream as well, right?
Yeah.
No one.
Oh, no, you're right.
I only ever show you guys on that.
Ah.
Occasionally, if I remember every button I need to press to make that happen, but it's not often. But yes, the potential for Falkwin to like really like, I guess, develop and also like show his like not his worth because that feels like it's not like it's already been established, but like to kind of shine a bit in this like current quest lines quite high, right? Well, I do have that kind of almost Rick and Morty-esque montage moment of just the shenanigans that could present themselves from trying to get these particular items.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, so I'm excited. How hard can 5 feathers and 3 lots of eggshells and some roots and petals of a plant actually be to acquire? Right? Not difficult at all. Anything else at all?
No, that's about it for me.
Kalli.
Yeah, I'm excited to be back in the group. It's really fun. Yeah, it's lots of stuff.
It's one of those, oh god, what have they committed to? Why am I now
There's
part of this?
There's a lot. It's like I was like, oh god. So they've got so much on their list. Like, well, here are all the plot points. We've got this. Yeah, cool. Yeah, okay. About 4 pages of notes. Hold on. Yeah.
Yeah, it sounds
But
about right.
it's good. I'm
As I said,
very excited to see where it goes.
You stepped in over the halfway point of my last game. Sean, you made it your own. I have faith you'll do it again. On Dinosaur Island.
Thanks. No pressure.
Obviously, it's probably quite difficult to have a lot of wrap up, given it was your first session, and we unfortunately didn't see a lot of your character this week, but a lot of it was just trying to get everyone up to speed this week. Said on our next session, we'll get right into it because might be you fighting a big bird.
Oh no.
Yeah. Did we have a proper sort of, like, when I first joined, we had a Falkwin meeting the group whole scene, but we didn't really have that for Sarah.
No, we were mostly doing the who's have met and it's been 2 weeks, and time has passed, so we don't have to do the why would you in our group shenanigans conversation. All that can be done retroactively, because you have that narrative time to play with to go, well, in that 2 weeks we could have went to a poker game or whatever. So I want to leave that as you just can build on the go. Different techniques for different people. Let's see how it all pans out. But very happy to have you back as well. A long time since Cadence. It's nice to have you at Cascade. Definitely not similar names at all. Can't wait to see Ignysera shine.
Yeah.
Can see truly what you're capable of. Thoughts? And a banana.
I had so much fun. It's so good to be back. I'm very excited to get to play with Kalli again. It was, yes, a lot of information. But I like it. I like the flashback worked well, I think, to fill in questions that we probably would have come up against had we just plowed forward.
It also allows, obviously, everybody to ask questions of him as well, to be involved with Branonel, given that he's probably an important character in the overall story.
Yeah.
Not as important as the moon, but yeah.
Just the most important thing. But it's now like Moon, Dinosaur Island. Very excited to see how it all ties together. Because I know it will. Excited to get to do some like classic questing. I think that's a really fun. I think we've done quite a lot of heavy metaphysical lifting. Excited to do that kind of montage sequence of seeing old friends and fighting birds and dinosaurs. Excited. I feel like we've got lots of irons in the fire, but they're all quite exciting to pull. So lots of fun. Happy to be back.
Yeah, I'm glad. I'm assuming, Chris, you have amazing amounts of feedback for us as well. Up chat. So thank you for that. Yep, great to have you back here too. I see typing.
Oh.
Typing. While we're waiting on that, do we have any votes for the XP?
Hannah gets my nomination.
Yep.
I think you spent a lot of energy on that conversation with Branonel in particular.
Thank you.
Oh.
I feel like I spent quite a lot of it going,
Just a lot of energy in general.
yeah.
That seemed like a hard thing to work through.
Alexander, did you echo that sentiment? I think it was lost.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, I would vote Hannah. A
Excellent.
lot
Aw.
heavy lifting today.
I think, to be honest, for me it would have been between two of you, given our, as I said, slight imbalance on screen time this particular session.
Mm.
But yes. XP awards to yourself, so enjoy that.
Thank you very much.
Um,
Ooh.
does that mean you have enough to be tier 3? Still
No.
over?
No, I was on 1.
Ah, okay.
So now I have 2.
Way, halfway there. I'm sure you'll find that easy enough. Check speak and punching a big bird. Possibly as a big bird.
Be a big bird.
Yeah.
Bird on
Bird
bird.
fight.
Yeah.
Yes.
Bird fight. Possibly illegal. Maybe able to get some money on gambling. But yeah, bird
I'm
fight.
so, yeah, these birds are going to be like national animals. They're going to be protected. There's going to be some big, like,
It's like the symbol in the Dwarven Queen's flag.
Yeah.
Like, yeah.
yeah.
Oh,
It'll be fine.
And
It'll
my-
be fine. Oh. But yes, so thank you all for playing. As I said, we'll deal with all our scheduling offline, but that was a very fun session to get us back up to speed so we can hopefully hit the ground running next time, which I'm looking forward to. Love that I can reveal Dinosaur Island. That was a lot of fun for me. I can't wait to start exploring spaces and even the other continent as well, because I think only Alexander's character has been across there so far in the backstory. I don't know how many other people's have been across there, but Lockheart has visited Felix.
We did get Scott's character.
Yes, but I don't believe Scott is going to make this arc as much as he wanted to, especially when he found out Kalli was coming back as well. And he was kind of hoping for an old gang reunion.
And also, his lizard folk telephone would be so happy.
It would be the most handy thing ever. But yes, so again, thank you all for playing. Say goodbye, everybody.
Bye-bye.
hi.
Bye.